are listening to the Gamecasters.
Natalie, Jeff, and Ryan are the Gamecasters, and they do a board game show, inboxes, and nooks and games, and top 5 lists, and sometimes there's fart jokes. Well, look who's back. Here I am enjoying a nice conversation with Jeff and Natalie that I was hopefully eventually turn into a threesome discussion when you all pop up, and actually this is perfect. Would you like a glass of wine? Shall I put on some Tenacious D, draw us all a bath, and read a few chapters of The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers to get us all in the mood for my food?
Whoa.
Now that you're thoroughly nauseated, the rest of this episode will seem exceptional by comparison. Welcome to the Gamecasters, the board gaming podcast that skirts the line between shock value, cancel-worthy offensiveness, and childlike innocence mixed with a cocktail of narcissism and self-indulgence. Somewhere in between those things is likely something for you to resonate with, so please stick around for just a few more months to see what you actually think. That's a bunch of bullshit. We're like the show The Boys. You'll likely know in the first few minutes whether or not this is for you.
Yeah, whether just turn it off or...
Right.
Yeah.
But actually, let me say this. I'm going to get real for a second here. If this is the first time you're listening to us, and you've made it this far without turning it off and going to something more palatable, I'll ask you to wait. Give us one episode. Listen to this one episode from front to back. If by the end of this episode you have not been converted, then go listen to another episode. There's 97 of them now, for fuck's sake. One of them should do something for you. No, but I'm serious. There is a lot of dick jokes and stuff, for sure. Mm-hmm. But that's not all we're about here. There's also a lot of vagina jokes. We don't discriminate.
Yeah.
No, but I'm serious. What we like to foster here on the show is a sense of authenticity. Not stuffy characters that we're pretending to be or faint attempts at being professional sounding just to make ourselves feel important. This show is us. If you meet us IRL, this is pretty much exactly what you'll get. Granted, we're a bit more quote-unquote on during recording sessions as we're putting on a fucking show for you, but this is us. The sex jokes are just one side of who we are. The bottom front, the best quadrant.
Yeah, best quadrant.
But we're also like everyone else in the world. We have a goofy side, a serious side, an analytical side, a sensitive side, a bit of a fucked up side, a creative side. So while occasionally you're going to hear Jeff tell stories about pictures showing up of boyfriends doing unspeakable things to girlfriends on their TV during family functions.
That was good.
You'll also hear fairly adequate and poignant thoughts on the newest games, and sometimes deeper, more serious discussion than Natalie's Nook segment about behavioral abnormalities at the gaming table. Yes, we run the gamut of emotion here, and while we may not be the best show out there, we're definitely not the second best either.
No.
But so, yeah, maybe you should stop listening. Actually.
You've just put so much pressure on episode 97 right
97
now.
is like, it's
listen,
gonna
if you
come
just start
out.
listening, now you
make it-
listen to the entire thing and then decide.
The reason I say that is because
Why
a
don't you
lot
listen
of
to
times,
93? We know 93 is solid.
93
Go
is
listen
good.
to 93.
93's got a shit ton of
Find
downloads.
out.
Don't
Go
let this
listen to
be your first
93.
That is
episode.
if you don't like this one, the benchmark is episode 93. No, the reason I say that is because of the intro, I usually go off and do some weird, crazy shit. And then if that's all you listen to, you might be like, no.
What is this?
I don't fucking like
people
this.
are weirdos.
And that's only one part. It's not the whole
we are.
show's like that. Okay, the whole show's mostly like that. But there's
like
also
eight-
a lot of
it's like
different,
80-20.
more
Yeah,
serious
there's still
discussion,
some
okay?
serious
I said
game
this in a
discussion.
conversation I was having with someone the other day, but every single bit of content that you put out is an opportunity for another first impression. Somewhere out there is someone experiencing you for the first time. So you really need to sell yourself and put your best foot forward each and every episode, video, blog, reel, whatever it is you're making. And authenticity, I think, is paramount. Be yourself. That's what we will offer you guys. We are ourselves. If you find it terrible, that it's not for you, that's fair enough. But like I said, listen to one full episode. Doesn't have to be this one. We're not putting all the pressure on 97. Listen to one full episode before you make that final judgment. You may just find that we're your new best friends. So Jeff, Natalie, I want to ask you guys this question. Jeff, I want to start with you. We're going to go counterclockwise.
Ooh, okay.
If you could say something to our new listener, hi new listener, about what they're going to get from our show, what would you say?
Hey, new listener. The three of us pride ourselves as we talk to make you feel like you're sitting at the table with us. That's what we've always kind of said we want to do. We want you to feel like you're here with us, that you're laughing along with us because of what you just said, Ryan, about we're authentic, we're who we are. And I guess Ryan is the host. Okay, he is the glue. If Natalie and I were just on a show, I don't think that people would listen.
That's not
I
true.
agree.
I think
Okay.
you could say that
Now-
about any of the two of us.
So Ryan is the host and the star. Natalie is the funny one.
Yeah,
And
totally. Natalie's what everyone likes.
yeah, Natalie is the favorite
Jeff's the one
by
with the
far.
biggest penis.
And then I am the third wheel of
No,
the
no,
podcast.
no, you are.
I have been on the least amount of episodes
That's
of
true.
the
Okay,
Gamecasters.
that's true.
He's also the voice of reason.
He is. He reins us in. He brings us in when we're getting off the rails. Also, no, what I think it is, and I've said this before, is Natalie and I did the show by ourselves for a while, and it wasn't like bad or anything, but we needed that third kind of heat.
Hey,
you watch 30 Rock.
yeah.
You needed
Jeff
that
is that
outside
third
perspective.
kind of heat. So you'll find that Natalie and I will get off on this, one type of heat, and then Jeff comes in with the convection.
With a second heat.
Yeah.
Or a third
yeah,
heat.
the third
Yeah.
heat. And that's what makes
We're all
the show
in heat
great.
eventually.
Yeah, we all, because, it was the Gamecasters start. If you would go back and listen to episode 1, first of all, if you're going to find an episode and let's do it, don't make it one.
Shouldn't be one.
Sorry, Jeremy, we
One
love you.
through
But if you want a taste of the show, pick something.
Although I think it's good to go
70.
back and
Yeah,
see
you
where
can.
it started
Yeah,
and then
you're
what
like,
it's
I've
you
become.
might be like,
listened
this
to
is
those
okay.
episodes.
Yeah.
And then you see the progression.
And you're like, oh, that was shit. This is great now.
So now with the three of us, the two of you play games together so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Right? And I play games
Almost
with different
exclusively.
sets of people, right? I have a game group, I do the board game club, so I have a little bit of different perspective
Yeah.
to sort of bring to the table. Now we play games sometimes right before the show.
Yep.
And we kind of can give you a lot of views on games from different perspectives of the community, which is kind of cool.
That's a good point.
I agree with all of that.
All right, Natalie, what do you got?
What do you think?
I was going to
What do you
say,
think, funny one,
you're going to
favorite?
get
Yeah,
the giggles.
Everyone
You're
loves
going to
you.
get honest game reviews. You're going to get a bunch of ridiculous inside jokes.
Which,
And-
if you keep listening, you will be a part of.
Yeah, you will be a part of one.
I love inside
Dang it,
jokes.
Ryan.
Love to be a part of one someday. Were you going to say that joke?
Oh, shit, cut this out.
I had my
what'd I do?
and then end with my last one, and then you just
I took it?
No, you just
Oh, I
like
knocked you off
interrupted
your rhythm.
me.
go ahead.
I knocked you off your rhythm. I apologize.
Let's restart.
You're also
this out.
sometimes going to get a little bit of infighting.
Yeah, that happens. Or then some babes here and there. Hey, babe.
Yeah.
Oh,
and Natalie will
babe.
yell at us for
Oh
talking.
my god, we have the same number 4, babe. Okay.
Well, okay.
No, what's your
So,
last
no,
one?
no.
And?
You know what?
I
Start
feel like
over.
it's kind of ruined.
No.
Okay, say it all
No,
again.
it's going to be
Just start
better.
at the beginning. We'll pretend like we didn't
gonna
do
be
this. Go
better.
ahead. Start at the
Okay.
beginning. Number
You're
1.
gonna get the giggles.
Okay.
Yeah?
You're gonna get honest game reviews.
That's
You're gonna
true.
get a bunch of ridiculous inside jokes, and then you'll definitely be uncomfortable.
Yes. Yeah,
Yes.
you will be.
Yes, you will be. As they were with the infighting.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's only one gradient of uncomfortable that you're gonna experience while you're listening to our show. We don't only have these banter sections. However, every episode starts the same way with this bantery stuff. You'll find out what we're doing, what kind of TV shows we're watching, what movies we've been watching. Just whatever crazy nonsensical thing has happened to us will usually be in this portion of the show. This particular episode I'm using to kind of reintroduce ourselves. Okay, Jeff kind of did a good job with that. I'm Ryan, Jeff, and then Natalie over there, and the three of us are just best friends. We're just all best friends, and we just
We're
love
the
to play
three
games,
best
and we
friends
also
that
all three of us
anyone
love
can
to talk. And so what's better for that is than Narcissism Incorporated is this podcast.
Then we're used to like, if you went back all the way to like episode 20 something, 30 something,
When you first joined?
when it was like, hey, oh my gosh, we just got like an hour and 45 minutes.
yeah.
Oh my God.
And now we're like, we
Now
just
we
can't
just
stop
drone
fucking
on and
talking.
on.
And now it's
there
like, oh my God, we just hit 3 hours. We can't do that again. Oh my God, we have 3.5 hour show.
I told somebody
so
at
sorry
work-
in advance.
I told somebody at work that I do a podcast about board games, and they're like, "Oh, wow, that's cool. How often do you do it? Like once every other couple months?" And I'm like, "No, like every other week." And they're like, "Oh, wow, okay. How long are they?" I'm like, at this time,
Yeah, you're like-
at this time, it was like they're about 2 hours.
2.5.
And he was like, "How the fuck do you talk about board games for 2 hours every other week?"
Shut up,
Easy.
guy.
I could do it for double that.
Mind your own business.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It was really
I
funny because
will-
I didn't have a good answer for him. I was kind of like,
Yeah, well, we just
I don't
do.
know.
I
We
know.
just kind of keep talking.
There's
Yeah.
a funny thing that we'll get into when we start talking about games that I'll bring up, but that ties into that.
So what games have we been playing lately?
No, we got to go back. I got to talk about something.
Yeah, let's
I have
hear
to
it.
talk about a TV show I'm watching
Okay, yeah, what
that
is
I
it?
can recommend to no one. Okay.
Oh, what? Wait, what?
I'm
said
not
you hate it?
recommending this
Nobody
show.
watched
no.
this.
Yeah.
I really liked it, but I cannot recommend
Should I
it to
bleep
anyone.
it out when you say the name of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. This show is called The Rehearsal. Yeah. This show is called The Rehearsal.
The rehearsal.
The Rehearsal on HBO
Okay.
is the weirdest fucking show I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
It is.
Wait, who's in it?
It's just one comedian. His name is Nathan Fielder. Okay. He's done a show in the past, I think, or at least some stand-up acts or something. Okay.
Prince's
Very.
son?
Yes. Yeah.
Let's just like him.
That's a baseball player.
I don't
like
know.
Prince Fielder, Cecil Fielder. Okay.
Oh.
So he's done, I don't know if you look at his IMDb. He has like, I'm sure, comedy specials on here. So
Okay.
HBO has given him a ridiculous amount of money to create this show called The Rehearsal. And if you go on IMDb, it's got like this 9.0 rating. Not
Whoa.
lots of ratings because it's not like hugely popular.
Okay.
This is The strangest show I have ever seen in my life.
The Rehearsal.
The Rehearsal.
Okay.
So the premise of this show is that Nathan Fielder, the main character, he reaches out to people. He like put this ad on Craigslist. Do you need help with something? I can help you. Okay.
Okay.
This person reached out and said, I need help because I was in this like trivia group. And this is like a real human being. So it's kind of like, I don't want to say reality TV, but this is a real person reaching out to Nathan Fielder was like, I'm in this trivia group. It's my life. I love these people. I lied to them about having a master's degree. Okay? I lied to them. And he's like, I need to tell them
That I lied. Okay.
So
These
Nathan,
are true stories, or is this?
This is like real. So he's like a real person. This guy's like, this is my
really
problem.
put it on
I need you to help me.
Craigslist.
So Nathan sets up a rehearsal for this person to essentially rehearse what he's going to say and how he's going to say it
To,
and
like,
how he's going to
tell
act.
How does this person find Nathan?
He like
Craigslist,
I think he
he
posted
said.
something on Craigslist to start with.
Craigslist.
Okay, and maybe as the show like maybe he reached out differently or like posted something somewhere,
Yeah.
went to meetings or whatever. But this first one was a Craigslist thing. This
Why
person reached
would
out.
someone think he's qualified for this?
So this Nathan guy sets up this insane rehearsal where he
With dolls.
no.
Oh,
They're with real actors. He has actors like follow this guy's friends around so then they can act exactly like
Oh
their
my
friends and they
God.
study those.
Like, stalk them?
he builds the bar that he is going to be at to the exact specifications of the bar he's going to be at. And they practice hundreds of times him walking in the bar. What happens if this seat's taken? I want to sit
What?
here. What are you going to order? Are you going to order her this?
Is
What
this-
if you don't order her a drink? What if you order her orange juice instead? Do you want her to drink? And he's creating this massive flow chart of like, what are you going to do? It is the most extra show
Like,
I've
if
ever
this
seen.
happens
But
and
the
you sit
stakes
here,
aren't even that high. This is just telling your
Exactly.
friends that you don't have a
I watched
master's
this.
degree.
I
Do you
watched
think
this
they
show,
can-
and so I like the show, but again, I'm
Like
not
the
telling
show.
anyone to watch it. Like the show,
Like the show.
I'm not telling anybody to watch this.
course.
I sit next to Devin and watch this show, and throughout the entire 40 minutes of the show, she's like, "Oh my god, what? Are you serious? Why again? What?" And what I'm telling you is like the bottom of like. It doesn't even get into what he then does the next episode and how far this rehearsal goes, like almost Inception, where he's like rehearsing the rehearsal.
Okay, so this
the
is
whole
just
And
one
season
story.
Is about the
This
one
is one
story?
story.
Or is
That's
one episode
episode
is-
Oh, so
one.
not each episode's about different
Well, they
things.
are. So the next episode starts this overarching kind of that goes through episodes 2, 3, 4, and 5 or something, and then there's little ones during this bigger storyline.
So the first one was
is the
just
guy
to
with the
get you,
master's
and that's
degree.
just to get you hooked.
Yeah, to like understand what's going on. The second episode deals with this woman who wants to know if she is ready to be a mom. So he sets up this elaborate thing where he is going to have 2 months where he's
Fucking
going to
her.
age someone. Yeah,
gonna bang
he is
the shit out
going
of
to
her.
age this baby essentially from birth to 18 years old. So that's the plan.
Is he going to be the baby?
No, it's insane. It is absolutely
Wow.
insane. And if you watch it and hate
thinks
it,
of that?
and you message me and you're like, "This is the dumbest fucking show I've ever seen," I would probably be like, "Okay."
As much as I want to say,
yeah.
no, it's on HBO. Usually, that's pretty good.
Yeah, usually
But
shows are good
I-
on YouTube.
If you like, serious, if you watch it and you texted me and you're like, "This is the worst thing I've ever seen," I would probably be like, "Yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
like it might
Probably
be."
is.
But
I
for
can't
some reason,
stop
I just
watching.
couldn't stop watching it, and I would just like you just start laughing when he just creates these layers and layers and layers of this rehearsal, and it's
Wow.
outrageous.
And are the people taking him seriously the whole time?
Yeah.
well, they actually wanted help.
But this is not like this is his job. He just decided to do this for a show.
Yeah, it's bananas. So I don't know if anybody out there has watched it or is watching. We need to have a conversation.
I guess I could see if he puts an ad on Craigslist and he says, "I'm making a show.
yeah,
Where I'm
on
going to
HBO.
rehearse. Yeah, you're
right.
going to be on the show."
Yeah, so that's something.
And so maybe they're like, "Okay,
but
here's
these
a
people
low
on the
stakes
show are
thing.
also like, there's a little bit of like social anxiety and some
Yeah.
because people who are maybe more social could just be like, "Hey, I lied. I didn't have a master's degree. I'm sorry." But
Right.
he's not. This person in the first episode is not like that.
How do you
He has some
reconcile
social
that
anxiety.
with? Yeah, but you're going to be on a show that's going to reach millions and millions and millions of people,
Yeah.
and so everyone's going to know. Although I guess by the time it airs, he's already told
yes,
everybody.
because at the end of that first episode, like the real thing is happening.
they show it. They do show how it resolves.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't want to spoil what happens, but
Yeah.
they show kind of that
I
moment.
feel like, why do you have to tell them that you don't have a master's degree?
Got to be some
Something
reason
must
that
be
something
coming
was gonna
up.
come up.
You'll
Yeah.
you'll kind of know. You'll learn a lot about
Yeah.
it.
Hey,
the
but
next party we're all
the
going to bring our
layers-
degree.
The layers that he goes through to do this is so over the top
Wow.
that you might just be like, "This is ridiculous. I'm not watching." it."
I'm going to watch
And
it
I
now.
wouldn't argue
Yeah,
with you.
now
I would be
wanna
like,
see
"Yeah, I know.
it.
I know.
You telling me that you can't recommend it makes me want to watch it more.
Yeah. So
I only want to watch it more.
If you start it might be like The Boys. If you start it and you're like, I'm not watching this.
Yeah.
It doesn't get easier to watch as you go through. It's not like you understand the rehearsal.
Is it done
just keeps,
like documentary style?
Yeah, like they'll talk to.
Like talking
he
head
has more
guys
of like voiceover. Like he kind of tells the setting of
Okay.
like, I'm thinking about doing this, and then it happens. Right? It's not like the Office documentary
Yeah.
where they just go camera to camera.
Yeah.
face to face.
Right.
It's more of like he is being the narrator
This
of
is
this
fucking
rehearsal.
weird. I want to watch
Crazy.
it.
It's so weird. So if you watch it, let me know. If,
want everything to
if
do
you
with it.
don't and you're like, I don't want to, I don't blame you at all. It's so strange. So that's the rehearsal.
Wow.
Wow.
Only Murders was great. We talked about that.
So good.
We talked
Fantastic.
about
It's
that?
over now.
So good.
Yeah, we talked. Did we talk? I don't know if we talked about it since it's been over, but I thought it was just
I
as
thought it was
good,
a
if
good
not
season.
better than the
Yeah.
first season.
Yeah.
Personally,
Yep. And then we saw the first episode of House of Dragon.
I have not started that.
We
I'm
cannot
excited to start it. I
say
will, though.
what we feel yet. I feel like.
Yeah, it's a one episode.
after the first episode,
I will say-
it made me want to watch it more.
Yeah, we're gonna watch it more, but we don't.
I was
we don't know yet.
underwhelmed, but I wasn't
TBD.
expecting a ton. So underwhelmed is the wrong word. I wasn't.
Hooked.
I wasn't hooked,
Okay.
but at the same time, I wasn't turned off either. So
Yeah.
I was like, oh, well, let's keep
Yeah, we'll
watching.
see what
it.
happens.
But I wasn't like, while I was watching it, I was on my phone. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
it wasn't
Yeah.
like, oh, what's happening? And I
Yeah.
still feel like
I feel like
got
it's pretty rare
everything.
to have a TV show hook you in the first episode. There's a lot. I mean, even like Parks
I
and
don't
Rec,
know.
we love that
I don't know.
show,
There's a
and
lot
it
of
took
shows,
a
though.
The first
good.
episode of Game of Thrones,
Yeah,
like
the original Game
is,
of Thrones hooked me.
but the
Not me.
first 45 minutes of the first episode of Game of Thrones is fucking confusing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it's
did not
confusing.
hook me.
It is
Then
confusing.
the
Oh, man,
last,
I was.
this is spoilers for
I'm a
a
nerd.
decade ago, but the
Yeah.
last scene of that first episode is that kid getting pushed out the window.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, and that was like, okay, cool. Now
Yeah.
what's the next thing? But like the first thing, you're like, who are these people? What is going on? Name.
Also,
But-
it's unfair to. It's definitely unfair to compare the two as well, because when Game of Thrones the show came out, most people, I'm not going to say everybody because a lot of people had read the books, but most of the general populace didn't know
Yeah.
what Game of Thrones was. And
Yeah.
I was one of them. So I was just like, let's go on HBO. When I watched the first episode of Game of Thrones, I didn't even have HBO. I had like a free trial.
3 months,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, let's see what's on there. And I
try it
was
out.
like, Game of Thrones, let's check this out. And I was like,
Yeah.
after I watched, I was like, this is incredible.
is
I was like
awesome.
telling everybody I knew about it. And none of them, other than one friend, had heard of the books. Mm-hmm. You know? But this is different now. Game of Thrones
everyone
was
knows,
maybe the
sure.
biggest show of the last decade.
Yeah.
Arguably.
which makes it even harder to live up to.
Which makes
right?
it, yeah. So there's a couple things going for it, though. Like, one thing is the source material they're taking this from is done. It's one book.
Okay.
Right? Where Game of Thrones, after like season
We'll never get
6,
done. It's never going to get done.
and at like season 6, there was no books.
That
so
guy
they had to just
What's it?
George Martin. Yeah,
Yeah,
George
he's
R.R.
gonna
Martin.
die before he finishes.
Oh, for
his
sure.
books. We all know it.
Well, and he thought so, and so he kind of told the showrunners, like, "Here's kind of what I was thinking." But this show is going off of source material that's already completed, which makes me kind of worried because you could get like a Hobbit situation, right? Where the
people
Hobbit
just, like-
they made 3 movies out of one book. This is one book. What are they going to do? How many seasons are they going to get out of this one book?
Yeah.
Where Game of Thrones was like every season was kind of a book, sort of,
Right.
Yeah.
Until they got to season 6 and there was like no books left, so they had to make it up.
Yeah, I'm excited to start. I'm going to start. I'm definitely going to watch
Yeah,
it.
we're gonna.
I'm not going to.
Yeah, we're gonna keep watching it for sure. It seems pretty good. So while we were at Gen Con this past year, there were a few games that had to be snatched up quickly, or else you'd miss out. Possibly the most sought after game at this year's show was the most difficult to get and made my top 5 games I was most interested in at the con.
Yep.
I'm talking, of course, about the expansion to Arch Ravels called Arch Ravels Somehow Even Shittier. I'm just kidding. I'm actually talking about the sequel to Roll Camera called Just Throw This Away.
Just this is garbage.
This is an absolute piece of hot steaming shit. So I watched Rado playing Ark. He played Ark Nova, and I listened to him, and he was like, this is going to make my top 10 games of the year. The only thing I think it's not going to be able to dethrone is Roll Camera, and I'm like, oh
Yes, roll camera.
this.
Why does he like it so
I
much?
don't know. It's got good reviews. People are fucking crazy, and that made me really angry. Okay. Sorry. The game is actually called Twilight Inscription. The combo flip, roll, and write game in the Twilight Imperium universe. You've been flip rolled. Never gonna flip you up. Never gonna roll you down. This game caught my eye and everyone else's for a number of reasons. Number one, it's a blank and write version of Twilight Imperium, which is highly intriguing for everybody. The collective eyebrow of the hobby raised when this sucker was announced. Twilight Imperium is one of the most beloved thematic games in existence. And number two, it was billed as like the longest, heaviest blank and write game to date. And so all of this seemed really awesome to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because I'm not the only one who's in love with blank and write games right now. It's kind of like the big hot thing that everyone's into. Having played Twilight Imperium and the heaviest blank and write game there is, Hadrian's Wall, how did this one measure up? First, let me tell you about how it plays a little bit, and then I'll reveal it all. Ooh. All the burning hot questions everyone wants answered. So in Twilight Inscription, players are playing over a number of rounds trying to score the most victory points across 4 different player boards. That's right, each player gets 4 different player boards. This game is a motherfucking table hog and plays up to 8 people. I have no idea how you'd actually play with 8 players. It'd be tighter than my pants after eating a nice juicy Natalie.
Oh my god!
So each player board has its own different properties on it that make it unique.
Don't say juicy.
There's
That was the only thing you had wrong with that whole scenario? How dare you describe me as juicy? You know, there are women on this planet who would be honored to be described as juicy.
Okay. There's the navigation board where you're connecting lines to different star systems, or the expansion board where you're crossing out icons on planets to get bonuses in rows and columns, or the warfare board where you're using icons to construct ships onto the board to eventually fight your neighbors, or the industrial board where you're crossing off and circling icons in a cluster to I don't know, cross off other stuff to eventually get you stuff.
Yeah.
Each turn, you simply draw an event card and do what it says. Most of the cards will have you gaining icons on the card and then rolling dice to gain other icons. Each player must choose one of their 4 boards as their active board, and then they apply the icons that they have on the card and that they rolled on the dice to that active board, which equates to crossing off or circling certain things to get you other things. There are also wartime cards where you simply add up the number of dots that make up the ships that you created on your warfare board and compare it with your neighbors left and right, and whoever has more dots gets a bonus. Whoever has less dots loses points. There's also a voting event card that has players voting for an event that gives a benefit, and then an event card that gives you goods that you can use as wild symbols throughout the game. Once a specific card in the event deck is drawn, the game has one more wartime event, and then it ends. Players total up their victory points on each of the 4 sheets, which they gained by crossing off and circling stuff on each of them, and then the most points wins. So things I liked. So this game is beautiful. It's all dry erase, but it doesn't come with typical dry erase markers, as the colors on the boards are like really dark blues, dark black, blacks and stuff like that, like space. So you wouldn't really be able to distinguish a black marker on the boards very well. So the game comes with these orange chalk markers, which more contrast against the dark colors of the board so you can see it, right? These markers are pretty nice. It's cool to use them instead of just plain dry erase markers, and it's the only game that I've played that is a roll and write or a flip and write that doesn't just come with dry erase markers on a right. It's these chalk markers, which they just feel a little more premium. The game is billed as one of the longest and heaviest blank and write games out there. And while that may be true, at least for the length, the game was incredibly simple to play. Each of the 4 boards have the simplest way to interact with them, and they're all similar. Simply spend resource icons you receive on the event card and the dice to draw lines or cross out or circle things on them. The navigation board is just you either using an icon to explore, which is moving along a road basically, but in space, or to claim, which is to draw a circle around a star system attached to one of those roads. When you draw a circle around a system, you gain the benefit inside the system. Boom. Another board just has you crossing out icons you've received, and when you cross out all of them in a row or a column, you gain the benefit at the end of the row or column. Standard and very easy. Yeah. So the intimidation factor is really gone after turn 1, which is nice. It takes a long time to play compared to other blank and writes, but in a lot of ways, it's much simpler to play than a lot of them. It's certainly much simpler than Hadrian's Wall. All right. So I'm going to kind of tear into this game now. In the things I didn't like section.
Boy.
I really did not enjoy Twilight Inscription.
Time out. Let's go back.
Yep.
Son of
a bitch!
We spent 2 days trying to get this game.
You at Gen Con.
Yep.
I could see your boner from aisles away. When you were
funny.
Ready for
That's
this.
That's actually funny. From aisles away. Do you get that? That's funny. Instead of miles, aisles. That's good.
Thank you. I'm done.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
You were so excited.
I know.
You were like,
you might have been a little too excited.
Your obelisk was just in full.
What?
Too excited? I was. It was great. It made Gen Con better.
And
I was
that
like
excitement,
so excited.
That excitement was cool. So I'm sad that this is where this conversation's going.
I'm just as bummed as you.
This was a huge game for you. You were ready.
And actually, everything that you're saying may play into a bit of my thoughts.
All right, continue.
Okay. So I really did not enjoy this game. On paper, I should love it. But on dry erase board, it's just not what I...
Oh my God.
Let's get into why. Okay, first things first. Did this feel anything like Twilight Imperium? No. Well, I mean, it was set in space. You have all the same races as Twilight Imperium in here. The artwork is similar. Mechatol Rex is in there. So I guess it might sort of feel like Twilight Imperium. But if you're expecting or hoping for this to be a way to get the TI feel in a much shorter experience, this is not going to make you very happy. Now, I wasn't even looking for that. I didn't give a redheaded fuck about that. But like the voting phase in this game is like the least interesting thing about the game. It was really boring, which is my viewpoint about the game in general, which I'm going to go into right now. The reason I was so excited about it was because it was billed as a really heavy blank and write game in the same conversation as something like Hadrian's Wall, which if you listen to the show at all, know that it's my favorite blank and write out there, winning the Game of the Year 2021 in the first annual Gamecasters Awards. This game is not worth the discarded player sheets that Hadrian's Wall shits out. It seriously does not hold a candle to it in any way. It's long. It's not quite as long as Hadrian's Wall, but surely it's the second longest blank and write on the market. But it's not because of decision making. It's long because there's just a lot of rounds to play. The decisions are mostly one-dimensional and simple, with the best decision by far being when to choose the warfare board and which ships to build and which opponent to try and attack. Everything else should feel interesting, but it just doesn't. The game's weighted on BGG at a 3.5. And I feel like that's absolutely ridiculous. Hadrian's Wall is weighted at 3.13. And there is no way in hell that Twilight Inscription is heavier than Hadrian's Wall. There's just no way. It's just too simple. There's nothing here that grips you. Nothing makes you excited to combo chain. Most turns, you cross off a couple things that get you nothing. It's not until many, many, many turns later that you finally start to get somewhere. And by the end of it, you've got a decent thing going, but it took an hour and a half to get there, and the return was not worth the time. I don't remember one turn where I was like, oh man, I can do this to do this, and that gets me this, and if I play here, then I get that. Wow, that didn't happen to me once the whole game. This game to me feels like something with the weight of Three Sisters and the length of Hadrian's Wall, and it doesn't live up to either. I was extremely underwhelmed. I expected it to be able to stand toe-to-toe with the heavier blank and writes, and for me, at least, it didn't. I feel like I'm not giving explicit reasons to things I didn't like, so I'm going to try and be a little bit more substantive if I can. The game is action chainy, which is my favorite thing about blank and write games, like Hadrian's Wall and Three Sisters.
Yeah, that's the best thing in all of those
like
type
the
of games.
most fun thing. But unlike those games, you don't feel as much like you're accomplishing much or getting anything great in return. The event cards that dictate what you do each round are basically just randomizers between the 4 different events, and they feel pretty lackluster when you draw them. Here we go. What's it going to be this time? Oh, it's another strategy event. Pick a sheet, gain a pink icon. It's just a bit of a letdown. So then when you pick a sheet, you expect that to be the best decision point in the game. You have 4 sheets to choose from. Which one do you pick? But the decision turns out to not be that fun for me because so many other strategy events will come out. And so the icons you get are either doing one thing or another for the most part. So it doesn't usually matter what you pick. It's not like, oh man, I really need this to happen on this next turn because if it does, then I'll be able to do this awesome thing. That doesn't really exist in this game. It's more just like, oh, okay, another blue resource. I guess I'll pick the expansion board and cross out a blue icon. Or I guess I could choose the navigation board and claim a planet with that blue icon. Or I could build a 1-dot infantry unit on my warfare board with that blue icon. And it's just boring. It's not exciting. It's not tense. It's not what you want. You want it to be really difficult to decide, as everything is great. The best games for me are when the decisions are you're deciding between this thing and this thing. They're both awesome, and you can't fucking figure out which one's more awesome. But instead of every choice being great, no choice is really that good. And so you just end up not really caring. The things you do are all standard blank and write stuff. You draw on a line, you circle a circle, you gain the benefit in the circle, and that in itself is not a bad thing at all. I love that's all blank and writes, and I love blank and writes. But this game was billed as this epic experience. When you think Twilight Imperium, you're thinking something big. When you hear 2 hours, you think, wow, something must be crazy in this game. And it just isn't. It's very standard, typical blank and write stuff that's not really done that well. There's not much tension, there's not much payoff, there's not much fun. Now, about the production. The boards warped up almost instantly. I've not had dry erase boards like this warp before, but they were warping like crazy. The Mechatol Rex board in the center of the board, one of the corners was just like lifted off the table.
Yeah, is it like, is the middle down and the outs like it's warping?
It's
Yeah.
It's like a curl.
It's almost like a curled
that.
piece of paper.
Yeah.
Or something.
Shit.
And then the chalk markers. They're cool. But what happens when they run out? Can you just go on Amazon and buy some more dry erase colored chalk markers? Probably, but that's annoying.
Yeah, you can definitely get
This
that
is the
one.
only game that has chalk markers in it. I have tons of games with dry erase markers. So if one of those runs out, I can just grab another one, or I can go to the drugstore and grab some dry erase markers. Can you just buy chalk markers anywhere? I don't know. You're gonna have to probably pay a bit of money to replace these, and they're the same size as like a bullshit regular standard dry erase marker. So they're not. I don't know how long they're gonna last. I don't know. Overall, I found this game good, not great. It's not bad, but it's just not particularly fun, and was a colossal letdown for me personally. If you're looking for a similar experience to Twilight Imperium, look for something else. If you're looking for another heavy blank and write, look for something else. If you're looking for a decent game that takes a long time to play and eats up a huge portion of your table, maybe seek this one out. But you're about to hear the other end of the spectrum with Natalie right now. Natalie, what'd you think?
All right.
Well, first of all, one of the funny things that happened with these chalk markers with Ryan was that he must have like put his arm down in it, and so he had like a bunch of orange X's.
You have 4
on his
boards
skin
and
for
7
like
years ago,
a couple days.
and it takes up so much fucking table space. You can't not put your arms in them. You know, you're like trying to like do something over here. Now the cool thing about the chalk markers in that way is they don't smudge.
Yeah,
you know, I don't know if you've ever used chalk markers before, but when they dry, they're kind of like
paint almost, but they clear away with like
paper towel
or water,
but it doesn't really like smudge. So if you like
dry,
I mean it stamps onto your skin.
Eventually it would dry
to me,
and then you use water.
Yeah.
I'm a teacher. I've used chalk.
Of course,
I use chalk,
you use chalk markers all
but
the time. But yeah, they don't smudge that easily.
But yeah, if you put it on, because it's wet, it's essentially wet still.
Yeah,
you gotta, like,
acts like a dry. Like if you would use a dry erase and you did it and put your hand on it right away, it would come off.
Right.
But this being a chalk thing takes a little longer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so if you leave it on there, I think you'd then have to clean it off with water. Would be my guess.
Maybe, yeah.
But
So at the very end of the game,
water. We just use a paper towel.
They say use a dry paper towel once it's over. I mean, if you left it for days, maybe. But
sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Natalie. I'm sorry.
All right. So I liked this game, unlike Ryan.
You don't know what I thought.
Yeah, we do.
How do you know?
do.
How do you fucking know?
So okay, for me, this game, I'm not gonna say like I was in love with this game and it was like everything I'd hoped it'd be, but I liked it. I thought it was like better than good, not great.
Okay.
For me, and I was pretty disappointed that Ryan didn't like it.
I know.
In fact, Ryan
I'm sorry.
hated it.
That
and
sucks.
so I was kind of like, oh man, I liked this. Like I would keep playing this.
Yeah.
I would keep this in our collection, kind of thing.
See you.
Yep.
It was definitely lighter than I expected it to be.
Yeah, 3.5. Is that? Can you believe that?
I agree. I do not think in any way that it was heavier than Hadrian's Wall. No fucking way. But I feel like everything else kind of was what I expected. I mean, it was longer, which I expected. It wasn't as long as Hadrian's Wall. It was probably it was our first play, and Ryan and I tend to be a little slow in our first play of games, and it was like about an hour and a half long. I bet it would be like an hour, maybe an hour plus a little
For just
if
the
we
two
played
of us,
it again.
we could probably get through it.
Because the round, like he said, it was negative for him, but like there were a lot of turns, but I thought every turn went like super fast.
Yeah.
So that didn't bother me. In my opinion, I felt like if the hour and a half flew by, and in fact, when it was over, I'm like, oh no, I didn't get enough done. You know, I need more turns to do more stuff, kind of thing.
It's funny. Yeah, about a third of the way through, I was like, oh my God, I want this over.
I know he was like, I want to stop playing, and I was like, what? Really?
I'm like, it's taking so long, and we're not doing anything. Sorry, go on.
I don't know. I mean, I feel different. I felt as it went on, I was like, things were finally starting to happen, kind of like Hadrian's Wall. It kind of starts off a little slow.
Don't you fucking
But it's
dare.
like lighter version. Like, I think it's kind of in between Hadrian's Wall and
Three
Sisters.
Yeah.
I do think that there are ways to get like combo-tastic turns, as you say, but I agree, not as combo-tastic as Hadrian's Wall.
Did I use the word combo-tastic?
I know that you guys say that all the time.
Oh, do we? All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
all the time.
yeah. You
We've
do.
said it.
Everybody
Have we?
knows.
Yeah.
They all agree with me.
They all. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean everybody
Everyone here.
listening.
Oh, yeah, probably. Okay.
But
I've definitely said combo-tastic.
yeah. Okay.
Natalie
At
says it
least
when I
check.
buy her favorite snack food.
Ooh, these are combo-tastic combos.
This is one of the inside jokes.
You've only
This
bought
is
them
it.
for me.
Go
once.
back episode something.
Damn it, where was I?
Combo-tastic.
Combo-tastic.
Yeah. So like I said, it doesn't have as combo-tastic like Hadrian's
Combo-tastic.
Wall, where you're like, I'm going to do this and then this and then this and then this and you know,
Right,
it
the
goes
fun-
on
the
and
fun
on.
stuff,
But I feel like it's kind of the same as Three Sisters, where like, you know,
I
you'll
agree
do a
with you.
few things.
But Three Sisters is like a tenth of the time.
Yeah.
You know, if this was
I
over
know,
in like
but
4
Three
or 5
Sisters
rounds,
is also
cool.
like a tenth of the stuff. maybe not a tenth. It was like a quarter of the stuff to do,
I guess.
I think. One of my favorite things about the game, again, unlike you, was
Well,
I
not
thought
one of your
the
things about the
decision.
game.
No, like
like
you
you.
did not like
Yeah.
this about the game, but
Yeah.
like I thought the best part was the decision
Ugh.
about which were the four
It
boards
wasn't
to
a
pick.
decision. Did you listen to what I said? Like, I just want to know. I'm not like
Yeah.
saying like what the fuck, but I mean like, did you when I made the point about deciding between which board to use, it didn't really seem like one was that much. Like they seemed like they were all the fucking same because you're gonna get that action like 20 other times. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but so okay, you get the what is it called? Like a strategy.
Strategy,
round.
yeah.
And then you have to pick one of the four boards to play on.
Yeah.
But with that strategy round card, you get the initial resources.
Sometimes one.
I know, but sometimes not. And so based on those resources or things that you may need for other things, you have to make a decision.
Yep.
You know, and so like you'd be like, oh, like for me at one point there was this one board where I was like, I was just waiting for the green resource.
Yeah.
And there finally one came out and I was like, I might not get another opportunity soon. So I need to take advantage of that. And that gave me like a bunch of stuff. Or
What was the decision there?
well, the decision
To do it.
to take advantage of that, and it finally like got me all the stuff that I've been waiting for. But another time I might be like, okay, this gives me 3 of this resource, which will give me a bunch of stuff up here on this navigation board.
Yeah.
But I'm a little behind on the warfare board, and I have some some stuff that I earned last turn that I can use on the warfare board to kind of get me ahead there. But then I'll miss out on this opportunity up here on the navigation board to do something sweet because of the resources the card gave me. And so I'm like, ooh, which one do I pick? I'm like, which, you know, is
Yeah, we're
that kind of
definitely
decision.
differing on the amount of fun that we place on those decisions. I felt like those decisions were very low stakes because it wasn't like you only get a couple strategy events per game and you're like, man, these really matter. I gotta go one way. We might not get another strategy event for like 4 more
but in
cards.
this
But in reality,
situation-
you get another strategy event, the next card, and then the next card, and
or
then,
the
maybe
next
not
one
this
is warfare, and I didn't choose to do the warfare, and now I've lost all.
Right, that was
there.
the best part of the game.
But
was
then,
the warfare.
but
Agreed.
then I also missed out, or else I would have missed out on like that really good opportunity to get a bunch of stuff with the other. You know what I mean? Like to me, that there was
Yeah,
good. It
sure.
was a good decision.
So I think part of what Jeff said earlier about how I didn't have a floater. I had a fucking hard on.
Oh,
you
no,
could.
it was-
Dave washed his clothes and hung them to dry on my 4 inches of manhood
Wiener.
that we were standing in line with.
Yeah.
And so I that part of that may have been I was expecting and hoping this to be better, maybe than like this is the new like heavy roll and write game that I can play. Like I was so excited about it, and it just let me down in every single
Yeah,
facet.
that's a bummer.
And so I think you didn't have any expectations at all.
I did.
Did
I had
you?
some. I wouldn't say as much as you, but I definitely had some expectations. Like I knew it was going to be a heavier, longer roll and write, and I was pumped about that
Yeah,
because I was
okay.
hoping it would be like, I was hoping it would be kind of like Hadrian's Wall, and it wasn't Hadrian's Wall, but I was also like, I still really liked this. Like to
Yeah.
me, it was like, okay, I could see this being in our mix of roll and write games
Oh,
that we
God.
have.
Just tell them why Maria sucks.
Kill me.
I know.
Kill me right now.
I don't know what else do I have.
Maybe you should have a day where you just play Maria and Twilight Inscription.
No,
back to
Twilight
back.
Inscription is
You just
not
do
like
this.
possibly her favorite
And you
game of
just
all
do this.
time.
No,
I'm
it's
just
not.
saying. Yeah.
But I enjoyed it.
Sure.
I definitely no part of me was like I hated this game or I didn't like this game. Like
Every part
I
of
wanted to play. I wanted to play it again, like
Ugh.
way because it
Can
was
you
one of those
imagine?
one of those games where like you play it and you're like, oh, how could I have done this better next time? I want to try again.
You could play it solo
Yeah, I mean I probably won't.
because
I
it
just
would
don't do
probably
that.
be more fun than playing with me because I would just be
Oh, I wouldn't play
complaining.
with you. Yeah,
Hey, I'm not playing.
that
with you.
for
that's
sure.
playing with
Yeah, we're not playing with you.
So that's
mean,
Twilight Inscription.
What? Are you serious?
What?
She's
I'm
not
not
talking-
You want to keep
talking.
talking about this game? God
Yeah.
dang it. Go ahead.
I want to keep talking about this game. Let me tell you.
This is great.
Let me tell you what happened.
This is part of the
I'm not
input.
Okay.
The infighting.
Yeah. I'm not interrupting this. Go
We
ahead.
play this game. We finish the game. Ryan's like, I fucking hated this game. In the middle of it, I just wanted it to end.
So bad.
And I was like, what? Really? Like, I liked it. And so then we were kind of talking about what I liked, what he didn't like, blah, blah, blah. And I was kind of like, oh, yeah. And he was like, at one point he was like, I just want to keep talking about,
but
what my thoughts on Twilight Inscription. And I was like, oh, I was like, why?
Now,
you were just trying to convince her to hate it?
No,
is that what you were trying to do?
He was kind of like bummed out that we didn't feel the same way, but he also couldn't explain. He was bothering him that he couldn't explain why.
I can't tell you why.
Yeah.
Because she was like, it has all the same stuff that everything else has. And I was like, yeah, but no. And I could not tell her
I even asked
what
him,
it was.
I even asked him, I was like, let's say you just played this game not knowing anything about it with no expectation. Would you still feel the same way?
You can't ever
I don't know.
I know
You'll
you
never
can't.
That.
I don't know.
You can't answer that. But
I think, I think I would have had a slightly higher opinion of it. I think I was extremely the number one thing I feel is disappointment, let down, underwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
I'd also feel everything I said is true. Everything I said is I stand by and I feel.
Yeah.
But I do think a lot of it is more intensified because of the fact that I was hoping and expecting it. So the fall is greater. Does that make sense? I was higher up and I fell further than I would have if I didn't have the expectations. It wouldn't have been this big deal.
Right.
I still think would have felt the same way. I
you
wouldn't really want to
broke
play
your
it.
fucking leg instead of just getting a little scrape on your knee.
I broke exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So go ahead. Did you want to say some wrapping up thoughts on this game?
No, I
You made a big deal
not.
about me cutting you off. So,
Well, you're just like.
do you have anything else to say? If you don't have anything else to say, then I'm going to let you
I
have
have
it
a lot
right now.
to say.
Well, then say it.
Okay. I think I also liked that you couldn't.
You got it. Keep going.
You couldn't really ignore.
Put him in his place, Natalie.
You know what?
Keep
Let's
going.
move on.
You have
Let's
this.
move on.
Couldn't really
you have it.
What couldn't you
Stop. You couldn't ignore. Like, I feel like you couldn't ignore certain boards completely. But it was also like at the same time beneficial to like focus more on certain boards to like maximize your points in those boards. And so that was also kind of like a hard decision to make every time for me. And then I don't know, for me, like the only negatives I really have to say is about the symbols. There's three main resource symbols, and the 3 dice that you're rolling
good call.
are gray, but the symbols all have like
Colors.
a color that is assigned to them. And so like, because you're like mainly using, like you also roll these colored dice, but like you don't use them
You, like,
hardly
rarely
ever.
ever get to use
and so
those.
you're always using these gray ones. So, and the symbols are like weird. They're not
they're
like
like
a square.
alien hieroglyphs or
right.
something.
There's some hieroglyph looking thing. And so every single time we had to be like, okay, so that's 2
what
pinks
colors
and a
is
blue.
this? Right.
Instead of just like knowing immediately by looking
They
at it.
should have made the
That was
icon the color. Like, you have the die be gray.
I agree.
But make the icon that's
Right, because
on the
on
die
every
the
single
color.
thing else, like on all the boards, it's the color.
color-coded.
And it's tiny, so you're not really like,
See, doesn't this game suck?
no, that's my only negative. It wasn't that horrible. It was just kind of like annoying. Like which one is this? But I don't know. I liked the game.
Good.
I'm not going to say that it's the greatest game. I'm not going to say, I think a lot of people probably would think it's heavier than it actually is if they didn't know anything about it, just based on like,
It's so
what you
simple.
read about
I'm
it.
so surprised it's weighted that heavy. It's very simple.
But I thought it was good.
Cool. Awesome. That is Twilight. Ugh, I can't say it. You say it.
Twilight Inscription.
All right, Jeff, what do you got, man?
Okay, I have something. First of all, we're like a half an hour in or something. How long are we in? 40 minutes?
45 minutes.
Okay,
about.
so we have to talk about Emily, so she doesn't.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Okay,
Sorry, I forgot.
So
Emily.
this is Jeff talking. Natalie and I went over to Ben and M's.
That's
right.
true.
Yeah, because usually it's Ryan saying, Natalie and I went over to Ben.
Yeah.
But no,
Yeah.
this is Jeff and Natalie went over to Ben and M's last weekend. Was it last weekend? And there was just a whole lot of like stuff that happened. Scarlett got so sick.
Ugh,
so
like right at the last minute.
Yeah, so Ryan couldn't show up, and
Yep.
Then Ben was like,
Ben
well,
was
you
like, well,
could
so Natalie
still
show
come
up.
over. And I was like, okay.
I was telling her that too. I was like, just go.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need to both be here while
And
they're
then
sick.
as I pull up in the driveway, Sam, so Miss French Toast was also there, so Sam was there,
Mm-hmm.
and as I stand up, her and Ben are like arms crossed, like shaking their head, like looking at
do
stuff.
we
I'm like,
do?
all right, who died?
Yeah, what's
They're like
going on?
outside, and like Sam's brakes were like messed up right when she got
Oh,
there,
right.
so they looked at that.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so then I get my son out of the car because I brought Jack, and it was just me and Jack, and Devin and Millie stayed at home, and Jack's like, I think I gotta poop. I'm like, all right, well, let's go into the bathroom. So he goes in, he sits in, he's like, all right, I don't have to poop anymore. Okay. So I carry him out. I'm holding him because he does these dogs. He doesn't want to be with the dogs just yet.
Yeah.
So I'm like holding him, and he's like, my belly kind of hurts. I'm like, dude, I think you're gonna throw up. I'm like, we got to go in the bathroom.
Why?
So he goes in the bathroom because we were in a car ride, and he's like eating shit.
Does he get car sick?
He's eating garbage in the back seat. He's had like 5 fruit
actual
snacks.
trash.
Yeah, he's just like
Picking up napkins that are like boogered.
So he had like chocolate chips and just crap, and then like threw up twice. He was like, my belly feels better. And then he was like great for the rest of the day, but it was like, oh my gosh, we're gonna get there, and that happens.
Yeah.
And they're going to be like, you have COVID, go home.
Yeah, get out of here. But we played a couple of cool games. We played a bunch of kites.
Yep.
We played Fife.
Yep.
Ooh, I want to hear your thoughts on that in a minute. Go ahead.
So, and then we played Blood Pressure Cafe, or whatever the hell Sam called
Order
it.
Yeah,
Overload. Is that
Whatever the hell
what
that
Sam
game
called
is.
it?
Which
Did
is
you call it Blood Pressure
I was out
Cafe?
almost like immediately again in one of the rounds. It's just absurd. I don't even
If
know
not
why
you,
I play
then
this.
me. I'm
And then we
terrible
played
at
a game called Grim Forest right when Natalie showed up. We played Grim Forest, which was kind of a cool family weight, like collect some resources, build a house. But it had a cool thing where there was like 4 different areas where you played a card secretly and said, I want to go to that area and collect those resources. But if you both played it, you then split the resources that were there. So you kind of had to play.
Is it themed after like
it's
the Brothers Grimm?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fan, right? You're building like a house of straw and sticks and brick or something. It's like the 3 Little Pigs Grimm for whatever, like a.
Yeah,
It
like
was
the
like
Brothers
some
Grimm
fairy
common
tale
things
yeah.
that common like fairy tale-ish.
Yeah, and then there's some cards to play, but it was a cool.
Yeah.
It was a cool game. It's definitely like a nice
Skybound,
family
I
weight,
think, right?
Yeah, definitely a nice like family weight kind of game. So that was pretty cool.
After everybody left, I was the last one there, and we played Ark Nova.
Ark Nova.
Yeah, that was
I know.
fun.
I was jealous you
Boom.
guys played that. It must be
God
cool.
damn it! There was something Emily told me specifically to mention on the show.
You blew it.
I don't
Was it
remember what
Daddy?
it was. No. What the hell was it? It was some joke. I cannot remember. She was like, "You got to say that on the show," and I was like, "Okay." And I even thought about it a couple days later. Like,
About-
what did she say? I'm like, "Oh yeah, I got it." And now I don't
Now you
fucking
remember.
remember.
About
Sorry, Emily.
Our
I have.
visit?
I literally have no idea.
Now it's
I have
just
no
gone.
idea. I
But
think
anyway,
she wanted me to
so-
tell you that Twilight Inscription is trash.
I wanted to hold on to at least one more listener. So Emily, don't turn off. We talked about you. Okay, it's happening.
we talked about it.
Anyway, so other games that I've been playing is I want to talk about another Stonemeyer game. Well, Stonemeyer expansion.
Oh.
I want to talk about Viticulture World.
Oh yes, thank God.
Okay, so this is an expansion for Viticulture. Viticulture has gone through all of these goofy ass transformations of like base Viticulture, Viticulture Essentials. They had some in between expansion. Then they came out with Tuscany.
Yep.
And now they have Viticulture World. The first Viticulture, I think, is like gone. Like, don't ever
Yeah, you
buy
can't even.
or get that.
Can you? Is it even in
I
circulation?
don't think so. So, like,
They
Viticulture.
phased it out like the $2 bill.
Yeah, the Essential Edition is what you would buy if you buy Viticulture now, and then you should buy Tuscany at the same time and never ever play without that. So I was never like in love with Viticulture, so I played the regular Essential Edition. It was fine. I was like, okay, this is a worker placement. I make some wine. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I added in Tuscany, and I was like, this game is much much better with Tuscany. And now
Which I think is everyone's consensus, right?
Everyone
Yeah.
is if you're playing Viticulture Essential Edition and you haven't played Tuscany, you need to just go get it. Like you need to take it. It adds like 2 more seasons for placing workers. It adds unique workers. It adds like this kind of, I don't want to call it area control, but like majority kind of thing. It just adds, it makes the game go from like fine to way better. I still don't love Viticulture. It's not something where I'm like reaching for all the time, but I know like that's a lot of people's like favorite game.
Yeah, people
It's got
love
a cool
that.
theme. There's not a lot of like wine themed games. It brings
Speaking
a lot of people in.
of
yeah.
Emily.
Yeah, they've been playing that a lot.
We almost played Viticulture. I've never played it, and we don't own it. And Ben brought out a stack of games and was like, "Which
And
one
that
do you
was
want to
one of
play?"
them.
And I was like, "Well, maybe Viticulture." And he was like, "No, that's not good at 2."
Like, why did you bring it up,
Why'd you
bro?
do
He was
that?
like, "What about
And
Ark
there was 3 of
Nova?"
you.
And I was like,
did Emily
"Okay."
not play Ark Nova?
Do you mean that's not good at 3? Why would he say it's not
Sorry,
good at 2?
it's not good at 3. I misspoke.
Emily's not playing. It's just me and you.
No,
Get
yeah,
outta
no.
here.
He was like, "That was not
Go
good
to
at
bed.
3." And he's like, "What about Ark Nova?" And I was like, "Okay."
Like if you were just gonna pick Ark Nova, just bring Ark Nova
I was like,
up.
what?
Okay,
Ask
don't
me.
pretend.
That's actually really funny.
It was
Yeah.
really
He brings
Oh,
a
this isn't
stack of
good.
games. How about these? No, these aren't.
No, these
good.
are all
Why would
bad.
you pick
All
those?
these ones are
These
bad.
are terrible.
He was like, "What about like Arnak or Ark Nova? Maybe Ark Nova." And I was like, "Okay."
Didn't he say Arnak is his favorite game of all time?
Yeah, he told me that he thinks that might be his favorite board game.
Oh, baby.
couldn't argue.
Can't blame him, right?
Yeah,
I think
it's
that game's
great.
essential,
It's
in
a good
fact.
game.
Yeah, I think it's
Don't
an
you?
essential game.
I think it's essential to have in your collection.
So Viticulture World sort like takes Viticulture and turns it cooperative.
Okay, cool.
Just
That
cool.
is so cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would attribute this. I'm thinking at some point like you might feel the same way. Like with early on, you really like.
Yeah.
I think
love.
if you didn't like you guys are kind of lukewarm on Viticulture, at least.
Yes.
you
I've
are.
never played
I
it.
like it.
You would. I think you
like
would go.
it.
All right, I want to play this now. This would be something you reach for. I'll get this later. Anyway, not designed by Jamie or Alan Stone, so it's not designed by either of them.
Oh.
So Francisco Testini, who is on Tang Garden, that's his really only,
Oh, okay.
which is a big name.
Yeah.
Well, he's not a big name. The game is a big name.
He's a no.
Tang
And
Garden.
then
Fucking no.
Maher Shah.
Wait. What's the first name?
Maher, M-I-H-I-R.
I'm like, are you saying my Hersha?
Yeah, no, M-I-H-I-R.
Okay. My Hersha.
He's done nothing, but has also like commented on my Instagram post about it. Like, thanks for playing. I'm like, okay,
nice.
all right. So listen to the show. I'm going to send it to him.
Nice.
This is a shout out to you. And I probably
up,
said your name wrong, and I'm
Meyer?
sorry, but I love you. Now, so in Viticulture World, players are now working together, traveling through different continents, which is kind of what they call the scenarios. Trying to achieve global recognition. That's the theme. You're trying to be the best wine person in each continent. So new game board. So it comes with a new game board. It looks very similar to the original, not Tuscany. So there's 2 seasons instead of 4 seasons. It uses your original player board and your original buildings that you can add onto your player board there. You get little workers with rubber hats on them, which dictate where they can work. It's kind of dumb, but they're like. So you only get 4 workers, and in the regular Viticulture, you can train workers and you get extra workers. When you train these workers, you get to take their hat off, and they can be placed anywhere instead of specific spots.
Oh, okay.
The hats are just a little fiddly to like get onto the they're like rubber, and you have to like bend them on to stick them on the. Like they're kind of like funny when you look at them. They're like, oh, that's kind of cute. But then you're like, I don't want to put this on anymore.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Anyway, so players first choose what continent scenario they want to do. There's kind of a layout, like here's the easiest, here's the hardest. You can play it that way if you want. And you have to achieve the winning conditions of the continent, just like any other kind of cooperative game, which is usually both players, or all the players, because I'm just saying both, Devin and I, all the players have to reach a certain amount of points, which if you played regular Viticulture, that's the end game trigger, is reaching 20 or 25 points, whatever it is. Boom, that triggers the end of the game. Now, everyone needs to reach that certain amount of points, and you need to gain these recognition points, which you get mostly through spending money. So the game itself, as you're playing the game back and forth, or again, just with everybody else, you are placing workers in 2 different seasons to do all the Viticulture stuff. Grow and harvest vines, turn those grapes into wine. You pick the wine, you pick the grapes, you put them in the left side of the board.
Yep.
You turn those into wine. You get helper cards, you play those things, which are cool kind of bonus actions. You get money, you build structures on your board for kind of upgrades, and you fulfill contracts. Contracts give you points. You want money to do the recognition points for the most part. And what is the step further with these action spaces, what Viticulture World does is it allows you to enhance the basic action spaces that are on the board, which is awesome. And so throughout the game, there are 2 that come up. So every round you flip over 2 of these possible enhancement spaces. And you can take one of the spaces to take that tile and add it to the board over top of the kind of basic action. So instead of giving a
of
tour...
the space you just took, or you're taking a space to upgrade?
I'm taking a space to upgrade another space, probably.
Okay.
So, for example, one of the spaces that's popular to get money is you give a tour and you get $2. That's kind of it. Place $2. The enhanced action is you give a tour, you get $2, plus you get $1. It's all lira, but you get $1 for every construction that you have on your map. So instead of getting $2, you could get like 6, 7, or 8. Instead of just drawing one wine card or one vine card, you can draw a vine card and plant it. So it kind of enhances these really boring actions throughout the game, which is very cool. And there's also possibilities of selling wine for points and for money, and not just one or the other.
Okay.
So these enhanced actions are what kind of, in my opinion, makes the game. But I'll get there again.
Okay.
Each round, players flip over an event card from that continent deck that you chose, and it changes something about the board. It might add an extra worker space and say, this is now a new worker space, and it does this. It could do something to the board itself, all that kind of stuff. You have 6 rounds to win.
Wow.
So
That's
you
fast.
each have 4 workers and your grande worker. So you have 5 workers each.
24 actions total?
You'll have 5. So you have
okay.
5. Yeah, so you get 30
little
actions
more.
back and forth. And at least in the first scenario, you have to get 25 points each and 10 reputation points, which is it is tight. So that's the first thing I'll talk about this game is one thing
That's
that
good. That's
I
what you
liked.
want.
That's one thing that I liked, but I can see how this might make people I can't even beat the first mission, but this game is tight. It is tight to the point where I think that every game is going to come down to the last round.
Really? That's the best.
I don't see myself getting to these points and this reputation track in round 3 or 4. I don't see that happening. It's like I might get there, but Devin might not.
And you all
Or
both
three other
lose if
people
you
at the
don't do
table.
it.
Yeah, because you all have to get there.
Can you help each other?
So, yes.
Okay.
So what's new also is your grande worker is essentially like a trader. Wherever you put your grande worker, if the other person or other people at the table have a worker there, you can trade. So you can trade wine, you can trade cards, you can trade money. So you can essentially kind of move things around the table to sort of help each other in the moment, knowing like, hey, you need to sell this wine. Let me trade these grapes to you. Let me trade this kind of stuff. So that allows you to help people and creates, I think, the interaction that that this cooperative game wants.
Okay.
Right? Instead of like, I'm going to play my game, you're going to play your game. Good luck getting there.
Yeah.
This creates that's whether it's forced or not, it creates the interaction there. So
That sounds fun.
I think that Viticulture World has sort of breathed some new life into viticulture for me. I didn't fall in love with Viticulture. It's not a game that I reach for regularly or
Same.
that I reach for often at all. But this being cooperative has now made me want to think about reaching for this version of the game.
So if you played it again, you're going to play this version.
I'm going to play Viticulture World.
Always.
Because this is weird. I'm trying to like phrase this. So Viticulture is a worker placement game. There are tons of worker placement games I'm picking in front of Viticulture.
Right. I see.
There are not tons of cooperative games I'm picking in front of Viticulture World.
Wow.
If that makes sense.
That's-
At least
that's
at
a
this
big
point,
deal.
which I like. There's other continents to work through. Devin also liked this way better. Devin was like into
cool.
this one more. She started and she was like, all right, this is kind of like the original. But then when we started to talk things out, she liked this
So because it's
much better.
cooperative.
Because it was
Yeah.
cooperative, we can kind of talk things through. It worked well at 2, which, for what Ben said, regular viticulture is not great at 2. This is much better, I think, because again, you're just working together. You can just go back and forth.
No, he actually said is good at 2.
I don't love it at 2.
He said it was not good at an odd number of players because
That's weird.
of
I wonder why.
play
He's
it,
obviously
so-
played. He's played it more than I have. A lot more than I have. So
And they've been playing it like crazy
I'd be
lately.
very interested. Yeah, they've played Viticulture World a couple times already.
Yeah, in the last
so
couple
they've gone
days.
through the couple, like the intro scenario and then the first continent.
Damn it! Should I get it
I
again
think.
for the third time?
I
Should
don't
I do
know.
it worldwide?
We should try it.
No,
first.
yeah, try it.
You know what it makes
'Cause
me
you
want?
have to buy
it makes
2
me
things.
want you so bad to play Orleans.
Whoa!
Want me, period.
I
And
know, I
thought it was
so
gonna
bad.
end there.
Stop!
This makes me want you so
Stop.
bad.
Yeah, to play the co-op of Orleans. I know.
I want you to play that so
You
it
bad.
haven't
made
played
me
that?
think of
He
that.
hasn't
No.
played it yet. Well, he's played it. He's
Dang.
played the other expansion that we haven't played, the
Yeah.
Intrigue one.
You
No,
do
in-
have
Yeah,
it?
trade and intro. Yeah, I do. I have everything.
I know. I want you to play it so
I will.
badly. It's so good.
2 things. I think this game shines in 2. So if I'm going to go specifics, two areas I think this game really shines in.
Okay.
One is the toitness. I already talked about it. The second one is these improvement tiles. They are awesome. They turn these boring action spaces into something juicy that you want to take over and over again, and you can't unless you upgrade the worker placement spot, which you can do in this game, which is cool because now only one person can go there or 2 people. Now you can add this enhancement tile on here, and you can have multiple people go to the same spot. That is like the best. You can also tailor your strategy to fit the improvement tiles because the first 2 improvement tiles in the first game that come out might not be the first 2 improvement tiles that come out in the second time.
So they're all just shuffled
So
together.
they're shuffled
and
up.
randomized.
They all come out eventually because there's 12 of those and there's 6 rounds.
Oh, so
and
you're
2 of them
saying
come out.
depending on how they help you, because they're going to help you.
They're
it's
going to help you,
change
but
the
in a
way you
different
play
order.
the entire
Oh,
game.
Yeah,
Okay.
like, okay, if this first one comes out and we're getting money right away, let's just get money and boost up a reputation track. And now it's like, okay, this one comes out and we can now sell wine for money and points. Let's start trying to fulfill our contracts. Or there's points. I think Devin only fulfilled 1 contract, but she was able to get points in a lot of other different ways because of these tiles. So those 2 things, I think, make the game shine. If those weren't in there, if the tightness wasn't there, if I felt like we beat the intro scenario with like barely.
Yeah.
Like we were like right. It was like the last turn.
Well, and that
Like,
probably
we were,
made
like,
it
right there.
more fun.
So that was cool. So if the toitness wasn't there, if the improvement tiles weren't there, it would have fallen flat. Those 2 things have like elevated it.
Do you have the wooden box
I don't
thing?
have like the wine crate, which is
Yeah,
pretty cool.
That is cool.
Each deck. So in order to talk about like replayability, each deck. So each continent, you choose 6 cards. And each continent has 10 cards. So you'll have like some sort of variety. So it recommends like play numbers 1 through 6 to start with.
Okay.
And then if you want to replay it, take the 10, shuffle them up, then just take 6 of those and add it to the thing. If you want to then play through the continent again and sort of get a different feel for it, don't buy it. We can play it.
Okay, I was literally just going to be like,
Yeah,
you
you were
wanna
like,
start
I'm gonna
typing,
do
Natalie?
this.
You want to
Yeah.
type now?
So overall, good expansion to a game that I know people really love. That I also think was in need of something to kind of make it relevant again and keep it fresh. At least for me.
So if you thought Viticulture was good, not great, maybe.
Right.
Do you think Viticulture World makes it great?
No.
But just underneath.
Just underneath that.
But maybe,
I think,
like he said, it's more like in
if
the
I put
top
it in
of the
like,
cooperative category.
yeah, it's in the top of the cooperative category that we're reaching for, that we would reach for now. If Devin and I want to play a cooperative game, I think our next play might be Viticulture World because we want to play that next scenario. So,
And there's not a lot of cooperative
Euro
like worker
games.
placement type games.
Well, just Euro games in general.
Yeah,
And-
right.
And I also see the other side of this. People are like, I want to play a competitive worker placement game. I don't want to
There's
play
a million
cooperative
of
game.
those.
And that's fine. So keep Viticulture, keep your Essential Edition. If you're playing without Tuscany, you're a problem. But play
You're
play
a
it,
problem.
Play it with that and cool. Leave
doing
it.
it
And you're
wrong.
like, I don't want. If you don't want to play this cooperatively, don't. It doesn't completely flip the game on its head and create some crazy like.
Yeah, but if you're into
But
cooperative
if you're
games,
into cooperative
then
game and
do
you
it.
like Viticulture, this is a good addition.
Euro co-ops are not very there's not very many of them.
Yeah.
I can only think of 3 off the
And you're not
top
just
of my
like,
head.
It's not like a lot of cooperative games are move and fight and roll and this kind of stuff. This
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I mean. It's a Euro.
This is a strategy.
What is the
of
third
kind of
one?
CO2,
Oh yeah, that's a great game.
right? And they're all 3. Well, I haven't played Viticulture yet, but Orleans is incredible.
Yeah, I have
It's
to have to do it.
incredible.
What's the,
cooperative. CO2 is incredible.
What is the weight
cooperative,
of Viticulture compared to Castles of Burgundy?
I think it's
Similar.
It's very similar.
right?
Very similar weight.
Viticulture is
similar.
easy to learn. It's easy to teach. It's
Yeah.
a midweight like. That's why I think it's also very
probably
very
around
popular. A
3.
lot of people can play it. You're getting wine people like
Yeah,
the drinking community into
they're into the theme and
into
stuff.
it.
Yeah.
I bet they're similar. If you look
2.93. So yeah.
Yeah, so that's like
just
right
underneath the weight of Castles of Burgundy.
Okay.
Very, very cool.
All right,
I
that was Viticulture
want
World.
Natalie to type,
Yeah,
but you said no.
let's play
Yeah.
it because
Okay.
you would then have to buy that and the world.
Yeah.
So you'd have to buy Essential
Gotta buy the
Edition
World? Fuck.
and the World. One thing, okay, so if I'm going to talk about like negatives really quick.
Yeah, sure.
The hats I think are kind of silly.
That's us.
They could have made them I think a little better, goofy. They also, if you really love Tuscany, they took 2 seasons away. So the board itself is much closer to the original than Tuscany. But Tuscany had 4 seasons to place in. This only has 2. And they took you don't play with the special workers that you do in Tuscany. So some of the best
Okay.
parts of Tuscany are gone in order to make it a more cooperative experience, I think.
Sure.
But some of those experiences are gone if you really want those special workers. They're just not in this.
Okay.
So those would be my negatives.
Before I
World.
talk about the next game, I just reached out to Emily and I was like, "What the fuck was I
Yeah,
supposed
what
to
was
talk
my
about?"
fucking joke?
And she told she
all right.
at first she was
she
like,
did?
"I don't know, what was it? Oh my god!" And she's like, "Was it this?" And I'm like, "Yes, it was."
Okay.
So okay, but for I don't know, we've been planning this trip for a month or 2.
Well,
Right?
out
a
there?
month, I think, to go.
Oh,
there.
I think since our last, probably
a
since
month
June.
or 2. And so I was
2 months.
expecting to go the entire time until
Yeah.
really the day before when Scarlett was like,
Had a
"Okay, it's just not
fever.
going to work."
Yeah.
Because the day
She's-
before or 2 days before, you're like, she'll probably be fine.
Yeah, I'm like,
by the
she'll
time
probably
we
be
go.
okay.
Yeah, we have
and
a couple
then
days
she
for
just
her to
wasn't.
break
She
this
kept
fever.
fevering.
Nope.
One of my favorite things to do over at Ben and Emily's is eat food. And
my
Emily makes
gosh.
this buffalo chicken dip that is just so fucking good. And I want it every time
Yeah.
I go over there. I'm just like,
Just gonna eat
so
a
I'm
gallon of
usually
it.
a very polite person when it comes to being at someone's house, but I'm like, you better fucking make that buffalo chicken dip or I'm not coming. And so when I found out I wasn't, so she had of course bought everything and planned to make it. And then I find out that I'm not going and I'm texting everyone and I'm like, don't touch the fucking buffalo chicken dip.
Yeah.
Sam, stay away from the goddamn buffalo chicken dip. And so Emily was like, are you kidding me? And she like, I'm going to send pictures of everyone eating the buffalo chicken dip just so you can, feel worse. So Natalie comes home from the day, and great time, whatever. And I'm on my computer, and she comes downstairs, and she's like, "Hey, how's it going? Emily saved you a little buffalo chicken dip." And I was like, "Yes!" And I turn around, and it's this little thimble. It's like a fucking.
We
it's
talked
like
The
about
smallest Tupperware ever.
It is.
We
like
talked about
a
that the moment
Dixie
Natalie walked
cup.
in the
You
door.
did.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a Dixie cup's worth of buffalo chicken dip, and I just look at her and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Are you serious?" And she's like, "Well, they wanted you to have some." And I was like, "They wanted me to have some?"
I was like, that's all there was left.
I'm like, I could sneeze and there'd be more on the fucking, thing
It even had a
than what
chip
they
in
got.
it.
Yeah, and so she's taking a video of me reacting to it, all like stupidly, like, "Oh, where's my buffalo chicken? What the fuck?" And it turns out there was a whole like, there was like a whole thing that she saved me.
Yeah. We tricked
There was
him.
talks of literally just sending home a chip with a
Yeah.
little bit on it, and
We
being like, here's
did,
what was
but
left.
then I really also had
All right.
more.
I
Which he
went
immediately
upstairs.
ate at like
What time was
midnight.
it? Yeah,
I got home at like
immediately
midnight.
went
Just
upstairs
destroyed
and
it.
I just like took it down.
Oh my god! I should
it's
post
so
that
good.
video online.
online.
on the
internet.
On the internet.
My MySpace is going to see this.
Yeah, I can't wait
Join
for
our
Friendster
Discord.
to
I'll
find
post
out.
it in there.
Yeah.
If you can even do that.
Oh my gosh. So you've heard me talk in recent episodes about the publisher's small box games and how affectionate I am towards them, which sounds really creepy, but I couldn't think of another adjective on the fly, so because I'm stupid, so I'm rolling with that. So
You're not
I have
stupid.
been backing, thank you. I have been backing every single game on Kickstarter from them since the North a few years ago.
To the north, to the
The North is
from
a
the
game.
north to the south.
And what? Oh gosh,
From the
Natalie's
east to
on
the
her second
west.
triple jam.
There we go.
Did you hear? I mean, me
happening.
and Jeff heard it so loud. I don't think she didn't actually open the can into the microphone, but it was
I wonder.
so
Well, I'm
fucking
debating because
loud.
I'm going to go get something out of the fridge, and I'm like, do I open it over there? Do I run upstairs?
Well,
and
last
open
time I
don't
opened it
quite
at the
know.
table, and you guys like you could have just opened it by the fridge. So this time I was like, I'm definitely opening
Natalie,
it by
people
the
in the
fridge.
Discord were like, you could. There was a shockwave that you could
they were
feel.
not. I'm on
when
the
when
Discord.
the
I
triple
read
jam
it.
opened. Somebody said something about like this giant earthquake that
Dang
happened.
bug.
Dang bug. Anyway, so I have been backing every single game on Kickstarter from them since the North. And what I've noticed is that while all the games are indeed small, they really do span a wide variety of mechanisms and gameplay feels. I get super excited each time a new one hits crowdfunding, so you can guess how I felt when I saw John's newest venture was a print and play flip and write game for only $4 called Copperdale. I got a half chub and a whole smile as I clicked until I was satisfied, which because of how excited I was only like 3 or 4. It was actually quite embarrassing. Well, a week or two later, the PNP files were ready to rock. And so I printed that sucker off, laminated its brains out, and sat down for a night of forceful yet tender soloing. In Copperdale, player are trying to score the most points across 3 different zones. Yes, I say player because Copperdale is a solo game. All you need for this game is the board that you print off, the rules, a deck of cards, a laminator, laminating sheets, electricity, a dry erase marker, color ink in your printer, a paper
Electricity?
cutter to get all the little scraps of lamination off so it looks clean, desire to play, the gift of sight, hands, oxygen to breathe so you can stay alive while playing in about 10 to 15 minutes.
Why do you
That's
need
all
electricity
I
to,
have
to print?
65% of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you need electricity?
Well, how are you going to power the laminating machine?
Boom.
Or the printer?
Yeah, or C when you're playing at night.
God,
Electricity.
Natalie, quit
you also need a
trying to-
laminating machine and a printer.
You said that. Just
I just
said that.
Said that.
Just. He said laminating machine, electricity, printer, cutting things, pencils, eyeballs, hands.
Oxygen to
A neck,
breathe while you're doing
oxygen.
Well, you also need a laminator.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
Did you say a chair?
You don't need a chair. You don't fucking
stand
need a
up.
chair.
You didn't
You
say
think
a
this game
table?
requires you need a chair? All you need are exactly the things that I said. A game of Copperdale takes 12 months to play, or 12 rounds. On your turn, you simply draw a card from the top of the deck and decide which of 3 zones to play it to. Listen to me, Natalie, so you don't ask me if I just said this a sentence ago.
Okay, I'm
Then you
listening.
repeat this process with another card, and then a third. Jeff's running upstairs to open his can. Each of the 3 cards must be above a different zone. And then once that happens, you resolve each zone. He just opened his drink, writing on the board based on which card you chose for each. After you do that, you discard all the cards and do it again 11 more times. After that, you total up all the points across each zone and compare it to the rule book to see how much you sucked.
And you probably sucked.
Each zone is different with how they interact with the cards, and it's really cool. In Zone 1, you're filling numbers in boxes to try and unlock special abilities that will do cool things for you to make the game easier, or give you more options and flexibility. Each ability has 2 boxes, and to unlock them, the number in the left box must be smaller than the number in the right box. One ability you can unlock, for example, is once per turn you can cycle a card you don't like to the bottom of the deck. So doing this allows you to see 4 cards each turn instead of 3, and that can be really nice. Another zone has you filling in boxes based on the number of cards above it, and once you fill in both boxes, you get to cross off boxes in another zone that will help and give you points. The only thing is here that the numbers must be equal. Another area of this zone has you marking boxes based on the suit of the card you played, not the value, which in turn allows you to cross off another box in a different zone to get you points. So the game is in placing the cards at the beginning of your turn. Say you really want to unlock that ability that lets you cycle the card, but on the previous turn in the first box you played, it had a number 6. And then you just drew a number 5. Well, you don't want to play it in that zone 1, as you won't be able to unlock that ability because 5 is smaller than 6, so maybe you play it into a different zone, because while the 5 doesn't help you, the suit that it's in does, as you need to cross off that diamond box to get you more points. It's a really fun little puzzle that happens every turn. So things I liked. I really enjoyed this game. It's so damn simple and small. Just a deck of cards and that player sheet is all you need, plus the other 20 things that Natalie didn't listen to that I said earlier. There is no setup other than shuffling the deck of cards and dealing out 12. The turns take about 30 seconds and the game is over in minutes. And really, it gives you that feeling of wanting to try it again immediately.
How many
as
minutes?
you realize all the mistakes you made. How many?
Like
what?
20. Like 20
I
minutes?
said like 5 to 10, like so many times.
I don't think it's that quick.
There is more to it than meets the eye. The first couple of times I played, I was convinced that there was no way to successfully accomplish a couple of these goals completely. But then I realized on my third play that you had to utilize the abilities properly to get done what you need to. It's a really fun little puzzle that is not really taxing on the brain, but has enough there to make you want to keep playing. I love games where the rules are explained once and then you don't ever need them again. That goes a long way to replayability, and this game has that. I'll likely keep it at my desk to take breaks with at work, as it's seriously like 5 to 10 minutes for an entire game. The cost is perfect. $4 for this puppy puts it in that zone where the risk is extremely low. So even if it's something you find that you don't enjoy that much, how can you not at least give it a try for that price? Right? $4.
Let me ask a question.
Yeah.
You might have said this as I ran upstairs to open my drink, but is this something that will be available as not print and play? Or is this just strictly print and play?
Question.
So you need
Good question.
Laminator, eyes, hands.
All those things that I said you needed was kind of a joke.
Did you need a
but
laminator?
You actually do that. What about a laminator and a printer?
Okay, so you need
Oh,
those.
the thing
You
I
don't
just
need a
fucking said?
laminator, but then you'd have to keep printing
Print
the
it out.
pages.
Okay.
Well, let me get to the things I don't like.
Got it.
You definitely want to laminate this game, as it would simply eat all your paper if you were going to play this over and over without one. Yeah, you could use pencil and erase, but even that would only probably last a few plays before you need to get another sheet. Laminators are pretty standard in a lot of people's households, but if you don't have one, that could be a potential barrier for this game. It's not $4.
These
now.
aren't like full page sheets though, so you probably could fit like 3 or 4 on one 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper.
No, the
right?
2 sheets, I think they pretty much took up an entire sheet of paper.
Okay, so 2 per.
So you get like
page.
2 per page,
Okay.
right? As this game is a solo flip and write, it's not likely something I'll play much other than at my desk. Though it could be a great game if you're traveling for work and in the hotel room or on a plane, because you could seriously fit this game, if you cut it right, inside of a box of a deck of cards. The footprint's that small. Overall, I have really enjoyed my time with Copperdale and look forward to getting better to up my score. And I'm happy that I have something at my desk to take a break with that I'll actually enjoy. If you've got $4 and a printer and a laminator, give this one a
And
shot.
eyeballs.
What
and
do
a
you
writing
think? What do you
utensil.
think, Natalie?
Yeah. What do you think, Natalie?
Let's hear it.
I thought this game was fun. It was a fun solo game. I don't ever play solo games. Ryan and I actually played it at the same time next to each other.
That was my question, was could you just play it?
Yeah.
Yes, but no, because
I mean, you
can't
completely
use the same deck of cards.
Right. You're playing completely separate
Okay.
games. We just happened to play it at the same time next to each other, so it
was
kind of
cool.
felt like a what do you call it?
Like a game, like a multiplayer
no,
game.
Multiplayer
solitaire, even though it wasn't. We just kind of
Right, it wasn't
I got
'cause
this score, I got
we
this score,
played
but you're
different
still
cards.
playing by yourself
You
because
can't use the same deck for multiple people because you have to actually place them above your board.
Right.
So if like we drew one card, one of the
somehow
players
have
would
to be
have to remember. Like you could take a little bit longer in turn to be like, I'll go first, and now you go with the same cards. But it just wouldn't
no, I
work.
don't
It doesn't
think-
work. It's
yeah.
a solo game.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I thought it was fun. I thought it was a cool little puzzle. You could just play it on the couch at your coffee table. I thought the abilities are key. I didn't realize that.
Totally.
I only played it once, so I didn't realize that at first. But I got a score of 7, which Ryan told me if you get below
that's
10.
not true. It was 8. Don't sell yourself short.
Ryan said if it's
That's
below
your
10,
rules
you're basically
is
the worst.
the worst.
And I
didn't
he
say that.
No, and then before we
think
played,
you would've
he
got
was like
7 though.
he was like
Embarrassing.
if you get below 10, you're the worst. And luckily my first game I got 11 and then I got 12. And then I played and I got like 8 and I was
All
like
I said was, according
I'm
to the
the worst.
rule book,
I guess you're the
10
worst.
or less is like try. Oh, you better try again.
I guess.
no, you said you used the
Does
word
it say better try
the
again or does it say
worst.
you're fucking terrible?
You're the
Yeah.
fucking worst. If your name is
You
Natalie and you
suck.
scored less than 10, fuck you. Fake game, fake rules.
Fuck you.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I thought this was a fun game. If you're into solo games, I think this one's, like you said, really simple, it's just a fun puzzle.
Totally agree. If you're into solo games, absolutely. Almost at the exact same time that I backed Copperdale, I also backed a game called Aquamarine, which is a print and play roll and write that also costs $4.
Same.
No.
Oh, okay.
How does this stuff happen? Like when zombie games come out, Or like,
like
games
6.
that are the same. Yeah, there's all of a sudden, like in right away, there's like a bunch.
Yeah.
But they don't know
weird.
that it's going to be popular. So like, I don't know how this shit happens. Anyway, this is the second game from publisher Postmark Games. Last year, they put out another print and play roll and write game called Voyages, which I haven't played, but after playing Aquamarine, I'm definitely going to go check it out. Spoilers. Okay. In Aquamarine, players are going on a series of dives in the ocean to explore marine life. Each turn will have 2 dice rolled, and players pick either die to activate, which they will then use to draw shapes on their board depending on the number they took. Each turn, a new die and shape will be chosen and must be drawn orthogonally adjacent to the most previously placed shape. The goal is to get points by encapsulating different icons on the board with these shapes that you're drawing. There are butterfly fish that score you points depending on how many of them you surround with an individual shape, cuttlefish and stingray, which give you points for being surrounded by a shape depending on if it's day or night, which is determined by the round track at the beginning. If you surround jellyfish, they're going to score you negative points, so you need to watch out for that. When you're choosing dice at the beginning of your turn, if you take the larger of the 2 numbers that are rolled, you obviously get to draw a larger shape, which is definitely better. However, you must then take the difference between those 2 dice and cross off boxes in your oxygen tank. And if you ever cross off the last box in your oxygen tank, your current dive ends and you have to start a new dive. And that matters because a lot of the juicier points, Natalie doesn't want me to say juicier, a lot of the better points are further down the sheet.
Say it about me.
Okay. A lot of the better, juicier points are further down the sheet, so starting over on another dive might have you wasting valuable time that if you had just planned a little better and waited, could have seen you get deeper and possibly score more points. After the 24th turn, the game ends and players total up their points based on which icons they've enclosed in shapes throughout the game, and then the player with the most points wins. Man, did I enjoy this game. I loved drawing the damn shapes on the board, choosing where you would start and which fucking path to take in the water. I just was saying like a swear before everything. Choosing which freaking die each time was a lot of goddamn fun. And one fucking thing I forgot to son of a bitch mention that was the coolest thing that was if you rolled doubles, you got to draw a shape 2 sizes bigger than the numbers rolled. So a couple times Natalie rolled double 6s. And so we each got to draw a shape made up of 8 squares. And you're beholden to certain shapes when you roll the dice normally, but when you roll doubles, you can make any shape you want. Mm-hmm. And that just feels really cool and fun. And when it happens, everyone gets so happy. It's just like double 6s. We were like, woohoo!
Except when I rolled snake eyes at the end.
Yeah, that sucked. But why you got to bring me down? I really enjoyed all the different ways to score points and how you had to plan on when to get certain icons depending on the time of day. It was simple and interesting and worked very well. There's another map that came with the Kickstarter, and that's got a few different mechanisms, and so I can't wait to get to that one too. Things I didn't like. The only thing I can really think of that I don't like is that the game's going to get probably stale after a bit. Playing the same 2 maps over and over isn't really going to sustain the fun for that long. However, there is something really cool they included in the print and play files. They gave you all the map elements, so if you want, you can actually make your own maps.
Cool. So like switch
now,
it up.
I am much too lazy to actually do that. I'm not going to fucking do that. I just want you to do it for me. You know what I mean?
But,
so if other people out there make maps, I would make them. You know, if they were like, here's a map you can make, I'd be like, okay, cool, I'll make that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You know, I'm not going to think of it myself because I just don't have the time for that. But you get all this for just $4.
Yeah, I was gonna say, even if it doesn't like stand the test of time, it's $4. Like you're gonna get
$4.
Even playing it once or twice, you're gonna get $4 worth.
The same criticism that I gave to Copperdale, I can also give to this. You really need to laminate these sheets as they're full color and beautiful looking, but you don't want to be printing them over and over again. You must laminate these so you can use them over and over. Overall, I loved this game. I can't wait to try the second map with Natalie to see which one we enjoy more. Mm-hmm. And I just had a ton of fun. What do you think?
I really like this game. I thought it was really fun. It was interesting to figure out like when to, because like you said, you only have 24 hours, so like 24 turns to go through all 3 dives, and so it's an interesting thing to decide when to stop and move on to the next one, because you don't want to leave yourself with only like 3 turns on the last dive. But also it's interesting to like figure out like which direction you want to go when you're like diving down into the water, because sometimes you're taking a risk. You're like, okay, I'm gonna put my shape here hoping that I get something that's going to give me this next thing that gives me points, but it might not work out that way, and then you kind of don't get that thing.
That happened a lot. That was a cool decision point that I liked.
Yeah.
That it wasn't existing in something like, I don't know, like Twilight Inscription, but it was really prevalent in this game where you felt like everything you did, like, oh shit, like what do I do?
Right.
I really enjoyed that. Which die do I take?
Yeah.
Because I had a couple situations where I'm on a dive and I'm like, man, I really want to take this bigger die. But that's going to give me 4 marks off of my oxygen tank.
Yeah.
And so I really then have to hope that I get lower numbers that are going to give me good enough stuff so I don't have to keep crossing off oxygen.
Yeah.
And then you roll like a 2 and a 6, and you're like, I can't use a 2. That's not going to get me anywhere. So I got to take the 6, but that's 4 more marks in my oxygen tank.
Right. And then you're done with this.
Right. Then you're basically done. And it's like, oh, that was really, really cool.
Yeah.
So those are, do you have anything else to say?
No.
I don't want to cut you off. So those are Copperdale and Aquamarine, 2 $4 print and play.
They were fun.
Flip and right, roll and
That's
right
like,
games.
$8.
Not even.
What?
Not even. Well, hold on. I don't know if that math checks out. 4 plus.
We'll be
Well,
right
plus
back.
the cost of the laminator and then
Yeah.
like the ink from the printer.
What about a laminator and a print?
Shut up.
Gotcha.
All right, Jeff. What do you got, man?
I got a game on Kickstarter right now. There is somewhere around 18 days left of this Kickstarter. This game is called Trailblazers.
I've heard of that.
Yeah,
That's on
sounds
Kickstarter.
familiar.
Yeah, it's been they're doing a pretty good job of advertising on
okay, so
Instagram
I've
a little
seen it
bit.
everywhere.
Not like not paying advertisement like Moonrakers, which is everywhere. There's been a lot of reviews recently coming out on Instagram because of marketing. This is how publishers, especially smaller publishers, are marketing is through sending these games, these preview copies to people, and then hey, the day of the release or a couple days before, we need you to kind of flood the market, sort of, right? Just start sending these things out. So Trailblazers. Look it up. If you look it up on Board Game Geek, it's going to be Trailblazers like 2023, right? There are games called Trailblazer. There's a game called Trail Space Blazer. So this isn't like the most unique name. So Trailblazers 2023. It's on Kickstarter. There's at least 2 weeks left.
Dude, the artwork on these tiles looks almost exactly like Nine Tiles Panic to me.
Is it Trailblazer the John Muir?
Nope. See, you're already.
Trailblazers.
One word, Trailblazers, and then it's 2023.
Ryan Courtney.
Yeah, Ryan Courtney is the designer.
Okay, got it.
If you could pull the artist up, that would be amazing because
Seth Lucas.
Yeah, the cover's
Nothing.
cool.
He's a nobody.
He's amazing because the art is a huge positive. I'll get to that.
I like it.
It looks cool. It fits this kind of like hiking outdoorsy sort of theme in a very cool way.
Are those all those wooden things? Like a moose?
Yeah, you get to put them on there.
Oh my goodness.
So this is from a new publisher called Bite Wing Games. Like BITE.
Bite Wing.
And yes, designers Ryan Courtney. If you don't know the name Ryan Courtney, you might have heard the name Pipeline or Curious Cargoes. Curious Cargo, which is just a 2-player game, which is essentially Pipeline. So in Trailblazers, players are building a biking, hiking, and kayaking path in their campsite. If you are a path person and you like Pipeline and building the path, this is another path building game.
Hey, he's got
Ryan
a lane.
Courtney he's got his path creating lane. So instead of pipelines, these are now kayaking, biking, and hiking paths. Okay,
Cool though.
it is cool. Everybody has like big squares that are these specific camps. You have like a biking camp, a hiking camp, and a kayaking camp. You have these big squares, okay? This game is a drafting game. Okay. So players begin by drafting 2 cards that on these cards, they're like almost half cards, like half a square, essentially. They're like a tall rectangle.
Like Bandito.
Yeah, like Bandito. Yeah. They're like anything that, or if you played Insider, the tiles from Insider that tell you whether you're Insider. You draft 2 cards. And then you place those 2 cards in your campsite, okay? You are essentially trying to connect paths, creating these loops that lead to and from that campsite. So if you think about it thematically, someone shows up to the hiking thing, which is the brown path, and you want to say this is a path that you go on, and you'll loop back to the campsite, just like normal paths. So if you want to go on the biking path, I think that's maybe the reddish-looking one.
Okay.
That is that you want to create loops to that start and end at your bigger campsite square. If you're looking at pictures, that should make a little more sense.
One of these loops is fucking huge.
Is crazy loops. So you're creating these loops. So you take 2 cards, you place them on your board. Cards can be placed fully. Cards can also be overlapping other cards, which is awesome.
Oh, wow.
And in my brain creates this like insane like web of like, oh, I can put it here. Oh, but I can overlap this. Oh, I can tuck it here. Oh, I can put it there. And it's just like this.
Almost too many decision points.
Yeah, there's so many things. So you'll end up each round placing 6 cards on your board, whether they're overlapped or fully or whatnot. And the game ends after the 4th round. This game plays up to 8 people, which is very cool. And so you can take 4, pass. This is very similar in terms of like the time frame of like Seven Wonders or Hadara plays the same at 3 as it would at 8, sort of thing. Because you're drafting and passing and placing all at the same time.
Yeah.
At the end of the game, you're counting the paths that you've created, the loops that you have created, and you get points for how long that loop is. So in Pipeline, there ends up being these like little notches on the pipes that tells you how long the pipe is.
Okay.
In Trailblazers, there are these little just like features on the card. So if it's a kayaking path, it looks like a little rapids, like a little drawing of a rapids.
I see.
So that tells you how long it is. So if there's 6 little features along your path, you get 6 points for that loop.
Does everyone have their own individual?
Yeah, I was going to ask this too.
So you're all playing. You're all
like,
creating
has to
your
be
own.
Enormous.
Yeah, that's one thing that's going to come up.
Sure.
This is so you're creating your own set of paths, and if you don't finish a loop, or if a loop has different like colors, if all of a sudden a bike path turns into a mountain or a hiking path, it doesn't count. You have to create one continuous loop, or if you have 6 continuous loops, you count each of those different loops. Okay,
Cool.
There's also like some end game points and some ways to like get at the end of the game. Do you have this, or who's the first person to complete that?
Yeah.
There are modules that bring along those cute little animal meeples. So there are cards that have these animal meeples on them. If you don't cover those up, if you make a moment decision like, all right, I'm not going to cover this card up, you get to put the animal meeple on there, which are all different and really cute and awesome if you like little animal meeples.
Yeah,
and that gives you an extra point. So that's like a module you can add. It's like you're going through there and you see a moose. Like, how cute. You get an extra point for your trail. There's also another module that are like bikers, hikers, and kayakers that go along your path, and you move them every time you place cards, which is just ways to add some complexity and really takes the game from, if you play the base game of just placing and creating the paths, it's a very light kind of light rules, light
Looks
game.
like it, yeah.
To this, then, if you add one or both of those modules in, creates sort of like a medium weight puzzle. So let's talk about it. Trailblazers is beautiful. Okay? It is in my opinion, because I don't think in this path sort of way, it's a challenging puzzle. But I did like it. I liked the challenging puzzle of it. I do think that if I played with people who are good at those types of things, I could get demolished.
Yeah.
And everything about the game made me want this to stay on the table for a long time. Like the artwork was cool. Those little animal meeples were very cool.
Cute.
It kind of felt like you were doing what you were actually doing in the game, not just connecting paths to paths. My favorite part was that the cards can be like fully overlapped. They can be placed separately. It created so many more decision points throughout the game in a good way, in like a challenging way.
Yeah, that sounds really cool.
The modules are perfect. I already mentioned that it plays up to 8, which would be great for any type of group, because again, you could keep this a lighter game, and you could play this game with Cameron and Lexi. The 4 of you guys can play. You pass the cards. You just try to create loops. Start here and end here. So you trace the path along. Or you can play with 8, and you can just ramp it up and say, we're going to add all these challenges and all these puzzles in to sort of bump it up. So I like that. My brain went in like so many different directions in a way that I didn't hate. Of where do I place these different path cards and what do I do, which like I said, I didn't hate. Because there are times where I'm like, I don't fucking know what to do.
Right, like,
Yeah.
And it was also a more low stakes thing where in Pipeline, I'm playing an economic game where I need to know what's going on in the economic part of the board when I'm playing Pipeline and create the puzzle of my pipes that best fits the economy that's going on in Pipeline. In this, I'm just creating the longest path.
Yeah.
Sure.
And one of the coolest feelings of this game is, which I think that the both of you would like the most, is this. There is a pressure luck element in this game of like, do I keep my path going?
Right.
When do I turn around?
Yeah, when do I come back?
Yeah.
Because you can keep building on paths as you go. You can keep just building. It's not like in one round you have to do biker path, or in one round you have to do kayaking. You can just keep going and go, all right, when do I turn around? Am I going to get the right turn that I need to make this tile
If you
come
come
back?
back around, let's say I make a loop that's 4. Whoop.
Yep.
The game's not over. So can I then later break it up, and then make it go longer?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. And you
Yeah,
don't have
and
to
then-
connect if I am on the red area, am I allowed to connect water to it?
Like
Because it looks like on this picture, there's like one that has like water coming out of there.
Yeah, like
is
that
that,
just
like,
wouldn't
allowed?
that just wouldn't count.
It
Yeah,
just
you
wouldn't
could do
score
that.
anything.
Yeah, it wouldn't score anything. That was probably maybe there to connect something else, like maybe to connect the water thing. Yeah, it would just be that. That's not a valid
It
path.
terminates there.
Yeah, that's not a valid path.
Interesting.
So that pressure luck element is cool, and it feels like okay. In a 2-player game, it's a little less because I know, not that I remembered. You could essentially be like, I know what cards I'm passing back and forth. But in 8 players, you just don't necessarily know what cards you're going to get the entire time.
Wow.
I think there could be a little bit of AP in the game if you're going to overthink some things and try to go, all right, how do I orient all of these different things?
Yeah.
I had an initial difficulty trying to score my paths as I was trying to figure out where do my loops start and end. But once you figure out how to score them, it goes really easily. But I was looking at the wrong... Like, I was trying to go loops inside of loops, and that's not how you score them. And I was just not thinking... I was not thinking in the path that the rule book and directions are meant to be. So I was like, what the fuck are we doing? So Dev and I spent like 5 minutes trying to like count in the direction book, like, how did they get 19 points and we're not getting this? So
Yeah.
that is something to get over if you do back this game, or if anybody's listening to this game who created it, maybe tighten that up slightly. There was a huge effort in this solo gaming. Ryan Courtney even put out something that says, he's like, I could have released this game as just a solo play.
Wow.
So even though it plays 8, I know that I haven't played the solo yet. I know there was a lot of effort in this solo. It's called like an expedition or like exploration or something, where there's different challenges to meet as you're playing this by yourself. So it seems like, and from some of the other reviewers that I know who play some solo games, they seem to enjoy that solo challenge. It's a table hog. It's going to get in the way. 8 you would need to
like 5 tables.
Orient some directions or sit in a corner kind of thing.
Yeah.
So the last thing I say is about it is that there are 3 different ways to back this game, which is kind of cool.
I'm seeing that right now.
So the first way you can back this, and you get like this little like soft square case essentially, and you get the components for a 4-player base game. So you just get the cards. You don't get any animal meeples. You don't get the expansion modules. You can back it as a 4-player carry in your pocket sort of game.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which is
that
cool.
the one with the little like
comes with a little carabiner, and you can clip
like,
it on something, and it's a 4-player game. You can then back it as like the non-deluxe version, but I think it will play 4 with the modules, or you can then get 8-player with the modules. I think is how you can back it. So if you're like, I'm never going to fucking play this game with 8 people, you don't have to get the 8-player version. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And it's not like, it's almost, instead of it just being add-ons, it's like, here's the 3 different ways that you can do it. Overall, the puzzle is very cool. I am happy to keep this in my collection. I reached back out and I was like, where do you need me to send this? Because a lot of times it's like, here's the preview copy, where do you need me to send it?
Else.
And he was like, well, Kickstarter's done and it's already funded. It's not finished.
Yeah.
But we've opened it up,
there.
and he's like, keep it, and then I'll let you know when to send it where. I'm like, okay, well, I can play this a couple more times.
Yeah.
So it's if you like path building sort of games, if you need something that plays 8 and also feels kind of like a game puzzly challenge, this is good.
I see the deluxe edition is $80.
Yeah.
Is there enough component quality wise here to sustain that?
So here's what you're getting.
8 players plus the animal components?
That's the everything. So you get all the animal meeples, you get the wooden meeples that are the kayakers, bikers, and the other thing. And then you get 2 decks of cards that then go from 4 to 8. I think if you're not playing this with 8, or you don't think you're going to play this with 8, you might not need that.
Go with the standard edition.
Go with the standard, which is $50.
$80.
Yeah.
Like
Sweet.
lot.
It's gotten some good stuff. Rado says, Pipeline is fantastic. Curious Cargo is a brilliant design also. But this is perfection.
Ooh, Rado.
Whoa.
Yeah, so it's good. And it funded immediately,
cool.
and it's going to get some praise.
It's very like... It's an attractive game.
It is. Yep.
It
so that's going
draws
to draw
you
some
in.
people in.
Yeah, it reminds me of Bandito in a way. The card size, and they got the pads on them too. And that's probably what I'm comparing it to cost-wise, because like Bandito's like a $5 game.
Yeah.
It seems
What's just the 4-player base path game, like with the...
That one's $50.
Okay, so it's 50, and then...
The Super Travel Edition is $34.
Okay, so 34, 50, and
50 and 80.
Yeah, you might... Yeah, so check into it, and it's...
How long
I think
does
it's
it
good.
take?
Took Devin and I less than an hour, 45 minutes.
Okay.
Like
that
30
seems
maybe.
cool. It
Yeah.
seems like a cool game.
So that's
It's
Trailblazers
actually longer
on
than I
Kickstarter.
thought it would be.
A couple weeks left. Yeah, well, I think part of that was like, we were like, how do I
Yeah.
These paths in my brain are just like
That sounds
going
like it'd be
bananas.
hard
Yeah.
because you can overlap. So
Right.
Yep.
So what we've been doing the last few months now, maybe it's been a year. I don't know. We would like play a game before we start the show.
Yeah.
And so we played a couple today. One of those that we played was a game that was super hot at Gen Con. There was 1 million copies of it, and I just never grabbed one from Bezier called Cat in the Box.
Yeah.
I didn't know a ton about it.
It's a
on
cat
my
in a
list.
box.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. It was on my list as a game to check out, and I knew it was trick-taking was involved, but I didn't really look into it much beyond that.
I didn't
So
realize how hot the game was.
I
gonna
didn't
be.
either. So I saw it
Yeah.
at Bezier's booth, and there was 1,000 of them. Maybe 2,000 of them. Maybe 3,000
Maybe
of them.
even 5.
There might have been 6,000. I can see that's a real possibility. 8,000?
That seems
I can see
reasonable.
that. 10,000? Maybe. Anyway, there was a shit ton of copies, and so I wasn't really like... It wasn't on my radar. I'm like, okay, I got to pick this up now.
Yeah.
But then, on the last day, I'm like, you know what? I've been hearing some things about this. It's gone.
It's gone.
And I was
Yeah,
like,
it's gone.
oh,
Yeah.
shit. Nelson from Fantasy and Some Flights, or Nelson All Over, was talking about this, made a video or something about this game, and was saying how much he loved it. He was like, this is the
Yeah.
best trick-taking game I've played in a long time. And I was like, oh, fuck. And I had that, like,
I think he told us at Gen Con too.
yeah, I think he did.
We were like,
what are you
what's
playing?
this
He's like,
all
oh, Cat in the
about?
Box. It's amazing. And I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
And so I was mad at myself. So luckily, we went to Bezier, and I asked them, what's up with this? It's gone. And they were like, yes, but pre-orders are shipping like tomorrow.
Yeah, yes, and
Yeah, so if you order it now, you'll get it in like
What
a couple
if
weeks. I'm like, oh, okay.
I
so
want this game?
Ordered
Yeah.
it now, and I got it like a week ago. And so I thought it was going to be a great opportunity to get to the table with Jeff and Natalie, because it's a quick game. That's what we like to play before the show, our quick games that maybe have a little buzz to them that we can talk about, right? So we talked about this one. No, we played. No, we played
Yes.
this game.
Yep.
We're going to talk about it now.
Right now.
So in Cat in the Box, it is, like I said, it's a trick-taking game. The thing about this game is, in most trick-taking games, in all trick-taking games except this one, you are playing cards of a certain suit. Right? Usually there's like the 4 suits in the standard deck, or sometimes there's just like, their own kind of suits. And, they have a certain value, and then you have to follow the suit that was led, and then the highest value in that followed suit is then the winner of that trick, who then leads the next subsequent tricks, right? In this game, all the cards are black backgrounded. None of them have an inherent suit or color to them. They have a value between 1 through 9. And so the players are choosing the suit color every time they play. So if it starts with me, and I'm going to lead a card, I get to pick what color I want this card to be. And the way it works is, there's this central board in the middle of the table, and it's got 4 different colors, because there's 4 colors in the game: red, yellow, blue, and green. And if I put down like a 5, and I'm saying, okay, this is going to be green, guys, 5 green, I have to put one of my little player tokens on the 5 green space on that central board, which is basically saying I've played the 5 green. There's not another green card. There's not another 5 card out there that can be green, right? So then it's the next player's turn. So let's say it's Natalie's turn. Since I led with what I'm saying is green, for Natalie to win that trick, she has to also play green of a higher number. She can play whatever the hell she wants to. But if she doesn't play a green card, she then removes this token next to the green color on her little player board, and that basically says, I don't have any green cards in my hand, so I'm playing a different suit.
Yeah, it kind of has
That's
like an
a
X
really cool way to
now
handle that, right? Yeah, there's like
for
an
the
X
green
now.
area.
So for the rest of that round, which is like 8 cards or so, she can't play green cards now, because she's basically, playing off to play some other cards. So if she wants to be able to have the ability to play a green card in the future, she has to then make a card she plays green right then, whether it's higher or lower. If it's higher, good for her. She could win that trick. Before you even start the round, there's a little bidding that you do a la Skull King, where you have a lot more time in this game than you do in Skull King to place your bid. But you're basically going to say, how many tricks do I think I'm going to win that round? And if you're correct, you're going to earn some victory points. Depending on, it's cool, it's almost like a little area, majority thing on the central board that's going to give you points. But anyway, back to the game. So we're going round and round, playing cards to these colors and in the central board, until one of 2 things happens. Either everybody plays all their cards in their hand until there's 1 left, which will end the round, or something called a paradox happens. And the way a paradox works is if you ever cannot play a card based on the rules, then the round ends immediately and you have created a paradox and you're going to lose points instead of gaining points. So you gain points at the end of a round for every trick that you won. You also gain points if you successfully got your bid correct at the beginning based on tokens that are on that main central board that are adjacent to each other. You get 1 point in your largest group of those. But if you caused a paradox, you instead lose 1 point for every trick you won. And even if you won that bid of yours, you don't get any points for that. And those can be huge swings, which we'll talk about all in a second. But the way a paradox works is if you're about to play a card, let's say Jeff played a 5 green. And I can't play green because earlier I played a different suit when someone played a green. So now I don't have access to play green. So I can't play green. Let's say I also can't play red. So all I can play are yellow and blue. And all I have in my hand are 3s and 4s. But on yellow and blue, on the main board, the 3s and 4s are already covered up. So I can't play those either. I have no legal play that is a paradox. It ends the round immediately. And it's bad for me, because now I lose victory points for those things that I've done, right? So you play rounds equal to the number of players. So we played 3 rounds in this game, and then you total up points over those 3 rounds. Whatever has the most is the winner. So things I liked about Cat in the Box. This was a really interesting and unique experience in a...
Are you fucking kidding me?
I wrote that down too.
I literally wrote
say unique and
very interesting and unique.
Marry us again.
Oh my god, babe! Listen, babe.
It sounds like though. It sounds like she's angry with me about it.
Yeah.
Not like
Well,
just
she's
Or just like, here we go. Us
Here we
being
go
the same
again.
again.
Oh, us being the same and just like destined in the stars that I would just marry you and when I the best couple in the whole fucking world.
If you're listening for the first time, Jeff married us.
It's true.
We are the 3 of us are married.
It was wonderful.
Actually,
Jeff married both of
Yeah,
us.
Jeff married both of us. We live in Utah. So basically,
We just alienated the Utah. That's
the
sorry,
Utahns,
Utes.
yeah, they all just
right.
marry. Everybody gets married. No, so this was a very interesting and unique experience. It's hard to stand out in trick-taking games because, I mean, they're very similar, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, you play a card of a suit, the higher one wins, and you keep going, right? So how do you stand out in the trick-taking space? I can see it's an interesting puzzle for some publishers to tackle because a lot of people still make trick-taking games.
Yeah.
And this one does it very interestingly, where there's all the suits are taken out of it and you determine what color the card is when you play it. That is really interesting. And it creates some very cool experiences where at the beginning of the game, you're like, oh man, I got these 6s and these 5s. I can win anything. But then other players start playing 6s and 5s, and then all of a sudden you play an offsuit to win a different trick, and then now you can't play this color, and you're like, I have 2 6s,
Yeah.
but the only
They're doomed.
6 that I can
Yeah.
play left is in green, and I can't play green.
Yep.
And now you're like, shit! And that's interesting, and you don't realize that when you first start the game. And so stuff like that starts to happen as the game goes on, and it creates these really, like, tense and frightening moments of, like... Because there's always one card that you're going to be left with at the end of the round. And so you're not going to play all your cards. And so you're hoping, amongst all hope, that you can keep that 6 in your hand and not have to, not have to be in a situation where you're going to play it, which you can't play. And so then it causes a paradox. And that paradox is terrifying because instead of gaining points, you lose them. And it's just a really interesting experience. And I'm glad that we played this because it's nothing I've played before. It felt like no other trick-taking game I've ever played, and that was a high mark in its favor, I thought. The components in this version, this is the deluxe version. I don't know.
Oh,
This was the
really?
only one that I saw when I pre-ordered was
right.
deluxe version. I don't know if there's a retail edition. The components are very, very good. The board in the middle and your player board are dual layered, which you should always
I
probably
wonder
try
what
to get
makes
those if
it
you could.
deluxe.
Always.
Probably the dual layered player boards, which you should always try to get if you could.
Always.
And I would say the tokens are like plastic.
Yeah, but
Like
I wonder
nice
what
hard
they
plastic.
are if it's
well, they're
not.
probably just cardboard tokens. Is my
Yeah.
guess. That's my guess. And so the production's really nice. It's really, really well done. That's probably. I'm trying to think of anything else I like super loved about it. I think the pacing was pretty quick. I mean, we played 3 rounds. It's pretty fast. I
Yeah,
mean, you
it's
have
good.
10 cards. You discard one at the beginning. I don't know why, but you do. And then you have one left over. So you're only playing 8 tricks at most. If a paradox happens, the round ends even earlier. And so it's over quickly, which is cool. I like that about it. Things I didn't like. This rule book is dreadful.
It's bad.
It is dreadful. There's components that come in the game that aren't mentioned at all in the rulebook. There's 5 cards in the box that I have no fucking clue what they are. I just don't even know what you do. And then there's one part in the game at the end of the rulebook. It talks about when you clear the board at the end of the round, but it says you don't clear it until after the second round, which is impossible. Can't happen. Cannot.
Yeah.
It's wrong. It's a typo, obviously. Now, this was created by a Japanese publishing company, so I'm guessing this was just the translated rules. Although it's Bezier, so you'd think that they would have done a better job in the translation.
The company can figure this out. We live in a world where you can figure this stuff out.
You should know if you're
100 years ago.
If you're printing the game in English, you should play the game so you could know that this rule is fucking wrong.
And Bezier, I think in my Bezier, whatever, they're at fault for this, for not like.
Yeah,
You're a big enough company where that should have been caught in so many different. And there's not just like one thing.
No, there's like a few different.
It's not like you used the wrong two.
There was like a 20-minute conversation before we played this game to figure out.
Yeah, how do we start?
What
cards do we use?
Set it up correctly.
It didn't even tell you what cards to use. There's a little table that you have to look at, and then you're like, "What does that even mean?" Oh, I get. You figure it out after a while, but yeah, it's very poorly done. I could see how you could play this game, which is an incredibly simple game. I could see how you could play it very wrong.
Yeah.
If you just by reading the rule book. The rule book is absolutely abysmal. There was also a situation that happened that I don't know. I mean, we didn't admittedly, we played this one time, okay? So this is more of a first impressions review. But there's a situation that happened in our game where I won by 20 points.
No, I won by 20 points.
No,
What did you get?
I got like 18, but like didn't you get like
I got
0 or negative
Jeff,
2?
I got 1 and Jeff got 2.
Right.
And you got 18.
So, okay, now that's not whatever, that's fine. Some games you're going to win by a lot of points, right? The thing that was a bummer was that was prevalent after the second round was over. You play 3 rounds on a 3-player game. We kind of mathed it out. It was like, there's no way.
There was 0 scenarios in which we could have won.
Yeah. There was like no way for them to come back.
There wasn't even the perfect hand. We were like, we can do this. Or like Natalie and I could team up to somehow. No,
right.
We lost.
So it felt like either I got extraordinarily lucky and they got extraordinarily unlucky, or the bad luck just never happened to me and it only happened to them too, or we got a rule wrong somehow. I don't know that we did. I don't feel like we did, but it was like one of those 3 things was weird. But it was a weird, and I can imagine, annoying situation where it's like, okay, well, we played 2 rounds. We're going to play the 3rd round for the game, but why? He won. It's over. What's the point of this? And that is a bummer. Overall, I thought this game was good. I really enjoyed it. I'm reluctant to say anything either way. I'm reluctant to recommend it based on that scoring thing is honestly the only reason I would hold off my recommendation. The rule book, whatever, you can eventually figure out how to play it, and the game is really cool, other than the rule book. But that scoring situation, if that happens often, it would stop me from wanting to play it ever again. If I was the person on the other end of that was just like, what the fuck is the point of this? I'm getting 8 points and you're losing 4. So now I'm up on you by 12.
Yeah, and getting 12 points.
That's like, okay, that's just
right.
fine.
Like you're not going to get 12 points in one round.
I scored 7 points in the first round. Natalie scored -4.
Yep.
Right? And Jeff scored 2.
We almost lost just in the first round.
Yeah.
There was no way that you were going to come back to win.
So it was just kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
But now, okay. But also, that was our one play. That could have been the outlier situation that does not happen very often.
Right. It's hard to say after one play.
Right.
How it's the general game's gonna
exactly the mechanisms, the idea, and everything else about the game. I loved it. I thought it was very cool. What do you think, Natalie?
I'm not sure yet. I feel like I can't really say, like you said, after one play. I definitely thought that the concept was unique and interesting.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I mean, I like trick-taking games, so it has that going for it. I think that it definitely has something different about it. It was hard. It was hard to figure out what to do. Like, it was hard to figure out what card to discard in the beginning. It was hard to figure out even like what to play each time. Because like you said, if you play off suit, then you just kind of are out that color for the round. So you kind of don't want to do that early on. But maybe like when numbers start getting filled up and there's not a lot of options anyways, then that's when you choose to do that.
Nice.
Sometimes it's also hard when like I don't know what's in your guys' hands, and so like let's say like I only have 1 3 left and there's 1 3 spot, you know, like if somebody else takes
somebody
that,
else could have
I'm
a 3.
screwed. So
Yeah.
maybe I should try to just play that 3.
Yes.
But at the same time, you're also trying to win the certain amount of tricks that you thought that you could win, and you know, it's really tricky.
Tricky taking.
But I mean, I would like to play.
That's so bad.
I would like to see how it goes. I would like to play it a few more times before.
Yeah.
You know, I can make any comments about that scoring issue.
Right. I agree.
I mean, for me personally, the first round I had -4. The second round I had 0 points, and then the third round I must have got 5 points because I ended up with a
1.
score of 1,
Yeah.
you know. But like, I don't know what's going to be typical for me or that game.
Did you have fun playing the game?
Yeah, I think I had fun. I liked it. I thought it like you. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
As a first impression.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Jeff, what do you think?
I thought this game was unique and interesting.
You.
Oh my God! Does anyone want to marry me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
welcome.
Yeah, everybody said kind of everything that I had. Like the point discrepancy we'll have more plays with. It was just there was a lot of cool moments when you're playing and you're like you have a 6, you have a 2-6. You're like I had 6s for days.
Right.
I'm like okay, this 6 can be any of these colors.
Yeah.
Because really like every card you have in that moment is all the colors.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Until someone puts it down, they're like, okay, well now my 6 can only be yellow and red.
Right.
Oh,
That's
now
the
it can only
Schrodinger's
be
cat
now it can
part.
only be yellow. Now it's nothing. Now my 6 is worthless. Right? So those like Natalie said, those moments of when to play something, even you're throwing off essentially in games because there's in every trick taking game there's this play of I'm going to throw off whether you don't want to win or I don't want this trick. I don't want to lead. Right? Those are always common in trick taking games. This throwing off is I'm going to throw off so my token is in the right spot on the board, and because I need to play this card because it's the only 3 that's left to play, or it's the only 4 that's left to play. So that was a cool. I'm not even sure. It's not a mechanism. It's a cool thought like process of like your throwing off is going to be in order to do that instead of just I don't want to win the trick or I need to get rid of this card. This is to help yourself on this kind of board that you're placing these plastic things on. Yeah, I'm excited to play this again, to try it again. Maybe even with just, I don't know, let's play 5, 4, 5, 6.
I think 5 it plays.
Yeah. I think it's 5.
I'm pretty
Yep,
sure
it's
it's 5.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, either way, so I'm excited to play it again. The first impression were good, and I like that it was something different, unique.
Interesting.
Just it makes you want to play it because it's different.
Yeah.
There are again so many trick taking games that you can just pick over and over again. This at least has something unique about
Yeah,
it.
it
Totally.
stands
That I would
out.
say I want to play this again.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
I agree.
Cat in the box.
Cat in the box.
Cat in the box.
Cat in the box. All right, Jeff, what
It's
you
my
got,
cat
man?
in
Oh,
the
yeah, no,
box.
we played another game right before the show.
We
This is called the
did.
Blue Orange Corner. Okay.
Blue or
I want
squirt.
to talk about a game that I brought over that got Natalie real fucking excited.
Blue Orange Corner.
I took this game out of my own just like little travel bag that I have, and I said, "Hey, I brought over a bag of chips." And Natalie's eyes.
Oh my God.
Well,
she
he
looked
like
at that
threw it on the
like,
table after he
I can't wait to eat
It's like a
these.
literal
Like-
bag
like-
of chips.
Like I brought food. Like combos. Like it was just
her favorite fucking
her
thing.
favorite thing in the world. Bag. She was like,
Okay,
"Holy shit!"
I'm
bag
sorry,
of chips.
but if someone
don't
says I
blame you.
brought a bag of chips and
I
then throws
don't
a
blame you.
bag
He did it on
of
purpose. That was
looked
he did
like
it
a
on
bag of
purpose.
chips
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
table, you're gonna be like, "Ooh, yummy!"
You were pumped and then so fucking disappointed. So we didn't play a bag of
I'm like,
chips.
oh, that's
but
a
I do want to
game.
talk about it because I have played it a couple times. And so this game is called Bag of Chips. And for some reason, this game, as well as a game
Right.
called Nacho
Nacho Pile.
have
Right,
come out in a
weird.
literal like plastic
What is up with
Ziploc
that?
bag.
How did Bag of Chips not come out 5 years ago?
I have no
and
idea.
Nacho Pile
This is-
comes out this
Right.
year. Right.
The same?
It's like
so,
what's
yeah,
that? Slugworth.
Slugworth?
Someone's like,
Slugworth?
you know, like from Willy Wonka, like someone's spying on
okay.
whoever had the
Got it.
idea
I-
first
yes,
and
I-
tried to
like-
make.
I'm-
Yeah.
yeah.
I think Bag of Chips came out slightly before, but I can't.
I think you're right.
I can't. I'm not going to get into the slugworthiness of this. So yeah, this game is in like a plastic Ziploc bag. It's a harder Ziploc, and you can, literally zip it to close it. But so this is a pressure luck game. It's very silly. I'm going to talk about it just very quickly. You get 6 objective cards to start this game.
Okay.
And on these objective cards, it basically says what you think is going to get pulled out of this bag of chips, which are chips.
Chips.
They're
Yeah.
like,
They're like
cardboard chips. They look like chips, okay? So
Like
one card
potato
might say
chips?
there's going to be more red than blue. And it gives you, if that happens, you get 47 points. And then it literally says it's like ridiculous amount of points, okay?
What?
There's like,
hilarious.
if at least 3 greens get pulled, you get 81 points. Okay? So you do that. If the last chip is yellow, you get 200 points. It's like fucking weird. There's a weird amount of points, okay? So you get 6 cards to start with, and in the first round, you draw a certain amount of chips out of the bag. You put them in there. Everybody looks and says, all right, there's a couple yellow, a couple purple, a couple whatever. And then you discard one of your objective cards.
Okay.
And then at the end of the second round, you discard another objective card. And in the third round, you discard another objective card, and you're left with 3 at the end of the third round, going into the last round, and you take 2 objective cards, and you put them on the right side, which means that those are going to be positive points, and you put the other one on the left side, which would be negative points.
Okay.
So if your right side cards get accomplished, you get positive points. If your left card doesn't get accomplished, you
Negative.
get nothing.
Oh.
If it gets accomplished,
Negative.
you get negative.
Oh,
So-
that's cool.
And then at the end of it, you just look at how many points you have.
So you
move
want
on.
to try to keep one that you're not going to accomplish.
Yes, and then all of a sudden, if it happens at the last pull or the last 2 chips somehow makes that happen,
Oh,
then
no.
you
Damn
lose.
it.
You could lose
Then
81
damn it.
points, or 96 points, or 14.
That's so funny.
Or
and
there's
weird.
one that just like you win. You win the round. Does that happen? Because there's like only 1 or 2 chips that are this color, and if it's like if these 2 chips come out more than the one that's the most popular, you automatically win or something. So it's really
That's
silly.
really
You
funny.
try to win essentially like 2 rounds, but you can just play and stop kind of thing if you want to. It is a goofy, silly kind of pressure luck game that I think
Yeah.
my students will get a kick out of.
Oh, yeah.
You're not going to play this game and be like, this is the best game I've ever played, a bag of chips.
It's just like a fun.
But it is a goofy little
Yeah.
filler that you just kind of go like, how did I get 71 random points for no, for
That's
no
so
reason?
funny.
But
I like that.
it
I
is
know.
really
I
funny.
like that the points are just ridiculous.
They're like ridiculous, and I'm sure they're scaled, but it could have just been 10 or 4 or 3, but it's like these kind of silly, ridiculous
Right.
numbers. And so yeah, that's bag of chips silliness. But we played another blue orange game right before the show called Next Station London.
Oh my gosh, was I excited about this?
Which, yeah, Ryan was very pumped. I played this game on stream with Jiu-Jitsu for his, it was like
Extra Life charity.
Extra Life charity stuff, because a couple weekends ago was board gaming weekend or something. Last
Yeah.
weekend
Oh,
was board
okay.
gaming, tabletop appreciation
day or something. Yeah.
So we streamed a handful of games on his Twitch account, and one of them was Next Station London, and Ryan was on the stream having a floaner and was like, I need to play this right
Want it.
now.
Give it
So I was
a-
like, I'll bring it over. Booyah. It comes in an awesome
Booyah.
little box with a little magnetic thing.
I love those
boxes.
I know
Those
they're
boxes
the
are so
coolest.
sweet.
It's so cool. So this is a flip and right game, which also, anytime you say anything and right, Ryan gets a little floaner.
Yep, little
so
one.
this is flip and right. You are redesigning the London Underground subway system.
Ooh.
That's what you're doing.
Okay.
You are in charge of it, Natalie. You. Okay? The paper that you get is full of shapes representing different stations and possible lines, which are like these faint dotted lines that you could use to connect these stations together. Make sense? Who cares? There is the Thames River that is going through it, which is spelled like Thames, but it's
Yeah.
Thames.
Yeah.
If you are at all familiar with the Detroit Tigers, we had someone on the team,
Marcus
Timms,
Timms.
for a while, and
I'm
each
not
person.
familiar.
Well,
No,
write it down. Now you know.
No, write it down. We're gonna quiz you on,
Write this down.
Detroit Tigers
Yeah.
knowledge,
Marcus
history.
Thames.
Marcus Timms.
Tim.
Oh, Tim's. Like Timbits.
Yeah. Yeah, the Thames River. The
That's what he calls
Thames
his
River,
kids.
The Thames River. Each person starts with a colored pencil, pink, purple, green, or blue. This dictates which station you're going to start that round from. You flip a card, and then you draw a line connecting that station to the shape that you just flipped over. And then you keep going. Okay?
Yep.
You can't cross lines.
Ugh.
You can't go over
Can't
the
cross
same
the streams.
lines. So this could get you in a little path where you're just kind of like, oh boy, I'm stuck because I can't cross lines. And you just, because subways, they would run into each other. Hello.
It would.
Yeah.
You want to go through these different zones. The path that you're taking is there's 13 different zones on the card, so you want to go through different zones. You also want to have a ton of stations in the same zone because that'll get you points. You want to cross the Thames River, and you want to achieve these goals that are common objectives in the game. You then, at the end of the round, which this is a unique, cool part, you take your colored pencil that you use and you pass it to the left. And now you have a new color pencil, and then you start the next round from that colored pencil station.
And start like a new line.
And you start a brand new
of the
line, starting from
subway.
the green station or the pink station, whatever you now have. The same deck of 11, 12 cards are shuffled up, and you flip through them again, and that's how it goes. You get points each round. You get points for objectives. You get points for each station that has multiple colors connecting it. And we played with both little advanced setup rules. One was the goals that we had to achieve and got points at the end of the game.
Yep.
And the other one was colored pencil powers. Each colored pencil had a power attached to it.
You done with
could-
CPP?
Yeah, so you could draw an extra one. You could count as double points, blah, blah. So each of that had that. And then we all total up our points, and Ryan wins because he complained the first 2 rounds of, I can't believe how bad I did this game. You guys are going to beat me in. It was how bad. Oh, I had 138 points and I beat you. Ha ha ha.
It's classic
You guys are going to
Ryan.
crush me into the ground. This is
I
just
probably
terrible.
said this on like, I don't know, what do we have, 97 episodes? This is number 97?
Yeah.
Maybe I've said this on like at least 20 to 30 of them.
Yeah. 20 to 30.
Where Ryan, he's always like, "Oh gosh, I'm gonna
brother.
lose. You guys crushed me." And then we're like, "I have 118. I have 120. Oh, I have 134."
all right.
I guess.
I'm not
Oops,
defending
I beat you
myself
by
at all.
14 points.
I'm not defending myself at all. However, if anyone's ever been in the situation that I was in when this happened, you're fucked. What can you say when you're like, because I mean, I wasn't going overboard like, well, I wasn't like pouting. I wasn't like mad.
Yeah.
But I was just like, shit, I don't think I did very well. Like, I think you guys got me by a lot. And they were like, okay. And then Natalie's like, I got 118. Just like, I got 120. And I was like, and then in my head, I'm like, I have like 15 more points than that. Now what can I say in this moment now? Now
Joe
what am I
Madigan does the
do?
same thing. Joe Madigan on
He
game night is a
does.
snake in the grass. Well, you guys gotta win. You guys gotta win. I won.
It's the worst feeling because I can't. It's like I can't help it because I
Yeah.
truly.
I know
actually
that you
feel-
believe
I'm like,
it,
I believe it. I'm
but
not doing
every-
well.
Natalie's
single
point is Natalie's
time.
point. What she's gonna say is just shut up. That's what
Yeah.
Natalie's gonna
and
say.
that's
Natalie's
the
gonna say, don't
hardest
say
thing
anything.
to do.
Right.
It's like
I feel like every single time he's like adamant that like I'm gonna win or we're gonna beat him, he always wins.
He always wins. But
Maybe
anyway,
that's
here's what
a,
I thought about Next Station London. I really like this one. This is one of my favorite lighter weight in terms of rule set flippin' rights that I've played more recently. Games like Three Sisters, and I haven't played Raw and Right, but those type of games I feel like are in a different category because they're heavier. This is lighter. The rules are easy. I taught this game to you in 5 minutes. But the puzzle is good. The puzzle of I can't cross the streams is good.
It's
and
really
it's
good.
challenging. And
so good.
I love the idea of the colored pencil. It seems silly to like you just start at different stations. Like you could keep the same thing, but the act of taking your colored pencil and your pencil power, your colored pencil power, and passing
CPP.
that with it is a cool activity to do while you are playing this game. So it could just say, all right, now everyone starts at the triangle. Now you start at the circle. Now you do the different thing. But it also means that my board is never going to look the same as Natalie's board because she starts with a different color.
Right, in a
our
different spot
paths
on
are
the
in a
board.
different spot on the
Yeah.
board, but we're going through the same shapes and the different paths. So I
Yeah.
love that. I'm not going to say too much more about it because I know you guys have some thoughts, but this is a winner in my opinion. And if you like lighter travel size flippin' rights that have a cool puzzle, I would absolutely check out Next Station London by Blue Orange Games. Are we going to go clockwise? All right.
Yeah, we fucking are. All right.
What do you think about
We
that?
always
fucking
do.
are.
Here we fucking go. All right, so there's a game that has similar kind of route building esque things in it called Metro X that we've
Yes.
played.
I thought you were gonna say
That's
Ticket
what
to
that
Ride.
kind of reminded me of. Just the look of it, right? You had
yeah,
these like lines.
Yep,
and,
lines,
Yeah.
intersecting lines, kind of thing.
Same kind of
and
theme.
we've played that a bunch, and we really liked that game. And now Jeff just called this game Next Station London like a lighter kind of a game. And while I agree with him, I think that it's like lighter plus. It's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's like Metro X is great, but this feels like the next step up. Like if you really like Metro X, now play Next Station London because it gives you a different kind of feel with the same kind of route crossing and building thing. Now you can't cross the streams. Now you have all these goals to look out for. Now you have 4 different colors you have to remember to account for while you're building. And I didn't do that until the end. And I almost screwed myself by not being able to build anything or draw anything. And there's that extra dimension to this game that makes it go from just a light, simple roll and right, flip and right, to a game that I felt the entire time was extremely challenging in the best way. I was never, ever certain about what my line that I was drawing, and I loved that about it. Jeff was like the card flipper overer, and so he flips over the card, and the first card that he was over flipping was a triangle. And so I'm the green player at first, and I'm drawing a line from my starting position to a triangle, and there's 2 different triangles to draw from. And already at the beginning, I'm like, well, which one do I do?
Now I'm fucked. Yeah.
Like, which one am I supposed to go for?
Yeah.
What am I going to do? And immediately from the first turn, and it's that simple. It's just there's a triangle.
Go from shape to
a shape to a shape. But
Yep.
there's 4 different shapes.
Yep.
Yep.
And then there's wilds, and there's
wilds, and
branch
there's
off.
everything.
Yeah.
But so like
Yeah.
you're like, okay, if I go to this triangle, what does that do to these routes later in the game? I don't know. And it's really like it's a really interesting decision point. Every single card flip, it's never like in Metro X, which I keep comparing it to. It's not similar, but
Yeah,
it's got a similar route thing.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is weight wise, right? In Metro X, when a card gets flipped up, you're like, okay, I'm gonna just go here. It's sometimes it's a very, very, very simple decision. I felt like in this game, no decision was simple.
Yeah.
It all felt extremely important, and it is, because you only get at most 10 cards to see, and at least 5. You might only see 5 cards in a round. So it really, every time, like if Jeff flips over the first 3 cards and they're all those pink cards, now you're like,
you're
I
done.
might only get 2 more turns.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I really got to make sure I'm doing the absolute best thing I can. You got to cross that Marcus Timms River.
Yep.
You got over and over again. You got to,
Yeah.
like, get to as many, like, grid spaces as you possibly can. You got to get as many circles in one grid space as you can to get that multiplier up. And then you really got to, it's like there's a lot of different things to keep in mind. And that's before you add in the CPPs, the color pencil powers,
Color pencil power.
and the goals, the objective
whatever,
cards.
yeah.
And I would never ever play without those.
Yeah.
If you don't play with those, then yes, this game goes to a much lighter experience. But it doesn't add so much heftiness, I would imagine. It adds, what I think it does is add interest to the game. These powers that you get on these colored pencil powers are so cool. All of them are great, and they're all necessary. There's always like okay, at least I have this.
Yeah.
You know,
when do I want to use
Right.
it?
I don't want to use it too
like,
soon.
I don't want to use
but
it too
like,
soon.
You know,
But it's
yeah.
also like this fail safe in the back of your head where you're
Right.
like, fuck,
Just
these
in
cards are
case.
fucking me, but this can help me a
Yeah.
lot. And so if that was gone, that would feel bad. It would start to creep up into that calico thing for me where it's like, okay, I can't do anything about this card draw. And so I love that about the powers. I also love the objective cards because they just give you something to shoot for. And when you get them, it doesn't prevent other players from getting them. Even the full points. You can all get the same points.
Yeah.
It's just like a goal to shoot for. And you want to try to make sure you do at least 1 or 2 of them if you see the other players doing 1 or 2 of them. And so it creates this other dimension of, stuff to think about and focus on. All in this little tiny package that takes, how long did this take us? 15 minutes? 20 minutes?
Yeah, it's
something
20
like
minutes,
that.
20
Yeah,
minutes or so?
that
It's
long.
extreme. This is a great flip and right game. I really, really enjoyed it. I'll let Natalie say the rest of the thoughts that I haven't already said. She just shrugged her shoulders and gave this like, I don't know. I thought it was fantastic. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I also really enjoyed this game. I love that the rules are super simple, but it has that like tricky gameplay. Like, do you go this way or that way? Which will have a bigger points payoff? The colored pencils, just the fact that like it comes with 4 different colored pencils and you draw the lines.
Yeah, that's just cool.
Yeah,
They could
because
have
then
done it
it's
other
like
ways.
easily distinguishable between
Yes.
like which 4 lines that you have. And then there's so many, I mean, there's not like too many, like, but there's like enough different ways to score points that it gives you enough to think about when you're deciding which way to go. Because you're like, well, do I go this way and then go for those big bigger end game like objective things. But what if I don't get it? Or do I go this way and make my multiplier bigger, and then I'll definitely, like get those points? Or do I go, like this
all
way?
Interesting decisions.
Like this only gives me this many points, on those star circles, but that gets me up higher. So like later I could potentially get even more. It's just like, there's like, it's so simple, but there's also enough in there to make it like tricky enough and interesting enough to want to like keep coming back.
Well, it's a combination of the grid where you got to make sure you're getting all the things in the right way to score points, and the timing. Yeah. And that's what makes it tense and engaging in something like Twilight Inscription that doesn't really have that to me. And that, because as I'm saying this about Twilight Inscription, I'm also kind of always trying to cement my own feelings. It's hard to say why you don't like something. And this game, Next Station London, it's so good. It's
another
so good.
Funny thing about it too is like you have this like rectangular-ish entire board, right? And you have these 4 different colors, and like I feel like your instinct is to fill up the board. So like, you have like your green in this one area of the board and the pink in another area, and now you're on purple, and you're trying to go in like the like unexplored area, but at the same time
you don't need to.
It's also beneficial to go where you've already been, because it gives you points to go to some of the same stations that you've already been to before. But you also have that like feeling that you want to like go where you haven't been, and so it's just, they nailed it.
Good game.
Yeah. Next Station London. Like the show, Borge.
Like the show. Before I play the standard commercial fare for the episode, I wanted to talk for a quick moment about the future of the Gateway Board Gaming Network, which was a passion project for me, and its absolute abject failure. I've talked for a year or two now about how I wanted to help everyone in the hobby grow and achieve the goals they wanted for themselves. And my idea for this was to start a network of like-minded people looking to help each other grow. The idea was that I shout you out, you shout me out, we all shout each other out, and pretty soon everyone knows about all of us and we each get a bunch of new followers. And it was definitely an experiment that I was excited about, as it seemed like something that could work.
Right.
The potential was huge, and we had a lot of members join, but unfortunately, it just didn't really go where I wanted it to. The growth never really happened, right? People didn't shout out people like I hoped they would. Admittedly, a lot of this is on me, as I got it all up and running and hoped it would sort of self-sustain, but that just did not happen, and so I was left with a choice. Either spend more time and energy and effort trying to corral everyone into doing what I think we all need to do to grow, or just let it go and stop being a nuisance to everyone for such little ROI. Well, as of this episode, I'm officially announcing the end of the Gateway Network.
Dead.
We're just going to take it out back and shoot it in the face. I want to thank everyone who participated and actually shouted people out with some regularity. You know who you are. I wish you all the best of luck in your personal content growth. I also want to thank and shout out Kurt Erickson, the brainchild behind the website and all that went into putting that together. What a fantastic, helpful, and easy to work with dude Kurt is. Thank you for all you've done there.
Can I send Kurt a game?
Send Kurt a game.
Kurt, if you're listening, I'm not going to reach out to you. You reach out to me. You listen to the show, because
he does.
And then I will send you something. You might not like the game, but I'll send you something. You deserve it.
You deserve it, my friend. I'm going to leave the Redbubble account up. So for all members, that will stay active. Any and all profits will still go to you that are made. Yeah. It's like zero effort for me to maintain the Redbubble, so I'm going to keep that going. Thank you for everything, everybody who participated. And now the commercial break will be a tad shorter. If you're looking to support the show, maybe consider flushing your money down the Gamecasters toilet by way of our Patreon page. There are 4 different tiers which will get you access to behind-the-scenes content, exclusive content, or content ahead of time. You will also get swag that nobody else has access to, and just the opportunity to help out and support a podcast which you sometimes listen to. We have amazing patrons. Thank you so much for your support, guys. If you'd like to donate to help us pay for things like hosting fees and that blank that Jeff's had his eye on, please head on over to patreon.com/the Gamecasters to help out. The Gamecasters Twitch account has relaunched, and we're live every Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday night, streaming board game and video game content and having a blast talking to all of you. If you just simply can't get enough Gamecasters in your day, please consider heading on over to twitch.tv/Gamecasters and give us a follow and maybe a sub. I have the best time streaming for everyone, and it's just a super fun place to unwind after a long day and watch someone who is trash at games play games. Come hang out and engage with me in a way you never thought you had to before, but I'm sorry, you do. Twitch.tv/Gamecasters. Possibly the best way to interact with all of us, though, is via our Discord server. If you go to the Gamecasters Instagram page, you can check out our link tree in our bio to get access to our server. It's a great way to engage with all three of us on a daily basis, as well as meet a bunch of like-minded, awesome people. So check out our Discord server. Nerdfest is fast approaching.
Oh.
The mini convention we do every year is now moving to a hall in Wixom, Michigan for everyone to attend. The best part is admission is completely free. Just get yourselves here and find a hotel to stay in and save the dates of Friday, January 13th through Sunday, January 15th. We've got some great guests lined up like Matt Riddle and Ben Pinchback, designers of Three Sisters, as well as David McGregor, designer of Dinosaur Island, Rar and Right. We're going to have events, tournaments, and just a great time gaming for the entire weekend with you all. So please set aside some time and join in on the fun for Nerdfest 2023.
Ryan will be there. Natalie will be there. Jeff will be there. Joe probably. My
Donkey
brother
Kong
Dave.
will be there.
People with the last name Madigan will be there.
Miss French Toast.
Sam is French
Yep.
Toast.
The Date Night Dicers, Ben and M are going to be
Ben
there.
and M. Other people. The Boy Scouts.
The Boy Scouts will be there
There's
serving hot
a
dogs.
bunch of neck-bearded people in the basement that will probably come upstairs
Probably
on Saturday.
measles.
You'll get the
Mick, Dave,
measles.
Mick.
Party time.
Party.
Bring it.
Party time.
Bring some
Party,
games.
dude. Why don't you step inside? Come on, it's warm in there. You think you found some grass, but nope, it's pubic hair. You wonder why there's so much underwear. You stepped inside of Natalie's Nook.
Today on Natalie's Nook, I wanted to talk about cost of games. What makes the cost of a game worth it to you? If a game is $25 or less, I'm sure most people are willing to take the risk of not liking it without breaking the bank, wasting too much money. But if a game is like $100 plus, for instance, what would make it worth it to you to pay that much for the game? Or what would make it not worth it to spend that much? How do you decide the cost of a game is worth its price? And what are some of the things that you do or think about when you're making this decision? Are you more of like a buy and try, or do you spend a lot of time looking into it before spending your hard-earned cash type person? That's what I want to talk about on today's Nook.
Who's going to answer these questions?
I love this topic.
Who's
I
gonna
think
answer
this is
these?
a
Well, let me
great
tell you this.
choice for the Nook today.
I have a bunch of stuff that I wrote down. I kind of have a good idea about what you guys would say.
So we don't need to decide.
No,
So she knows what we're
no.
gonna say.
So I also asked
why
a
they're
couple
favorite.
outside people that I know kind
Like
of
people who live outdoors?
think the opposite of you a little bit about their thoughts too. So
Okay.
I'm gonna share some of their.
Well, why don't you tell us what our thoughts are?
I already know what your thoughts are, so I went to
Yeah.
other people, and this is going to be
So you guys can shut the
much
fuck
more
up for a
interactive
little bit.
Nook. Oh
No,
my god, I'm just
I
going to eat the
wanna
rest of
know.
this cheese.
I want
Yeah,
to
good
know.
idea.
You want me to start?
I want to.
Yeah.
I want to say something about this cheese
Go ahead.
though, really quick.
What?
So I was sitting in the basement by myself. Natalie and Ryan went upstairs. They both brought down cheese and crackers. Okay, on that separate plates, same cheese, same crackers. And
It was to share with you.
yes, they both said, "We'll bring it down. We'll put it in the table." And then Jeff, you can eat from your own plate, and then Jeff could get to pick from both of them. Natalie puts the plate right in between us.
There was a bunch of shit.
No,
right
listen.
here. Wait, there was a bunch
Listen.
of shit right here. Yes, there was.
Nothing.
There was no
Nothing
room
has
right
ever
there.
been here.
There was a bunch of shit right here. in the
Natalie puts
side.
this plate right between the two of us. So Natalie and I are snacking on the red plate.
Bullshit.
So Natalie bring the red plate down. We're snacking on it. There's one cracker left. We're both debating who should eat it. Should we eat to the middle, Lady in the Tramp style?
just took the last cheese.
Ryan's blue plate is an arm and a half lengths away from me.
hold on.
Where I'm not going to reach over the entire game table to reach to Ryan.
I
And it's
originally
not-
put it in the middle.
Ryan gets his own plate.
He's the whole plate by himself.
I put it in the middle of the table, and I was like, we're going to need the space there. And there was stuff right here that I could not put that. There was fucking stuff right here, god damn it.
I
And
remember
couldn't put
thinking
the plate
too, like,
there.
why did he put the plate all the way
I
over
put the
there?
plate there because there was shit right here. And I tried to put it in the middle, but I was like, no, we're in that spot. I was being polite. And in my head, This is what I thought. I didn't do it. Fuck me. But in my head, I was like, all right, if Jeff wants someone here, I'll just grab the plate and bring it over. And then I was like, well, I guess he can just take from Natalie's plate for a while. And then all of a sudden, my plate was like, oh.
I don't care. I just thought it was
Suddenly, I don't know what happened. All
And we
the
crossed
food
the
was
games.
gone.
Yeah, tell us everybody else's thoughts.
Yeah.
Tell us everybody else's thoughts.
The outside people.
Okay, no, tell me what you guys do first. Tell me.
You tell us what we want. What we think.
You want to go first?
I think this is a fantastic topic
It's one of Nellie's
because there is a lot of that's a huge deal when I'm going to buy a game. Like if we just talked about the game Trailblazers that Jeff mentioned. I looked at the price point there and I was kind of like, is there enough in this game to warrant an $80 price tag for this deluxe version of Trailblazers? I don't know. I haven't played it, right?
Yeah.
But if I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, there's just some cards. The artwork is admittedly gorgeous.
Yeah.
What is it that's making this game $80? And so right off the bat, I would probably be like, no, I don't know that I would pay for the deluxe version. You know, I might just go for the travel size, which is like $35. Now it's funny that I say that because we'll go out to dinner and I'll spend $80.
Yeah.
And it's one
no problem.
It's like a you know, a big, it's like nothing.
It's a one-time thing.
Like a one-time thing that, you know, it's just you eat it once, it's gone, and it's not even that good, right? Yet I hem and I haw and I go back and I go forth about, you know, spending $50, you know, on a game because, I don't know if it's going to give me the right size. But there is a big, okay, let's look at a Vital Lacerda game, for instance. Those games are very premium, boutique. They cost you like $120 when those suckers come out. But to me, those games are worth it. And it's funny because I don't play them that often, so you wouldn't think that it would be worth it.
Yeah.
But what makes it worth it for me are a couple different factors. One is what is the production quality? That's one of the bigger factors to me, is what am I getting for what I'm paying for? And is it worth it to me to do that? Now, if I look at a game like Trailblazers, it might not be worth it to me to spend $80 to get just a bunch of cards that look really nice. But if I spend $40 more and I'm getting this giant box of the Gallerist that has premium components that are all done by Tool, and my God, they just look so great.
Yeah.
Then it starts to get worth it to me a little more. How's the artwork in the game? How's the production quality of the components? You know, a game like Twilight Inscription has these boards that are beautiful, but they warped immediately. If I paid a bunch of money for this game, that would bum me the fuck out, and I'd be upset about that. So I want to know beforehand what's in the game that, you know, is it quality enough to be worth that price?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's one thing that I think of when
I think of just like the other day you were going back and forth about should I or shouldn't I back Dead Reckoning? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Did you do that or no?
I ended up not doing
He ended up not doing it, but like I feel like that's a perfect example. Like, what was your whole process? Because you seemed like very interested, and then you ended up at the end of the day deciding, no, it's not worth that.
So let me compare Dead Reckoning to Too Many Bones. The game's nothing alike, but the production quality I think is on par, and so the price point is similar to Too Many Bones. Is one of my favorite games of all time. Everybody knows that, and I have probably spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, maybe $1,000 on Too Many Bones at least over its life. Oh yeah, for sure. For all of the Too Many Bones stuff, yeah, for sure, absolutely.
$1,000?
That's too,
probably
too many money.
From the original Too Many Bones to then Undertow to then the 40 Days in Daylore stuff to the Splice and Dice to then the new campaign plus the loot crate. Yeah, I'm sure I'm in over $1,000. But if I look at something like that,
Natalie.
but so I got Too Many Bones way long ago, just kind of like on a whim, right? And I bought it and I played it. And I was like, this is incredible. And I knew right then that, okay, these neoprene mats, these dice, these chips, I'm going to buy every goddamn thing that this company puts out. I don't care how much it costs. The game is so fun. And these components that I can play in my bathtub make it even more fun. Now, Dead Reckoning, I'm to understand, has a similar level of quality. It's like beautiful looking. And I've been hearing some really fantastic things about it from Ben Kennard, and a lot of different reviews that I've watched are like, this game is so much fun. And so to go, I was thinking about going all in, Jeff, on for like, it was like $350.
Okay.
And you get everything that was in the first campaign, plus everything that's in the expansion stuff that's released now, and it's not going to get here for a year.
Right.
And so these are some factors of why I decided against it. One, I didn't play it, first of all. I've only seen reviews and heard a couple word of mouth things. Okay. 2, I've seen a couple of other people's reviews. Like, I've seen a lot of good reviews. I've seen some other reviews that are like, you know what? This game's a little bit overwrought. There's a little too much stuff in it. It's going to be a little bit too much to set up and tear down, right? This is a John D. Clare card crafting game. And so inherent to these games is long teardown, right?
Yep.
That was a big deal to me. And most importantly, maybe, was when I was going to get it.
Yeah.
I'd spend $350 now to get the game
Which is
a
a
year
big
from
chunk
now
of money.
or more.
Would you spend $350 at the store?
If it was there
Be
right
more
now,
likely to do that,
Much more likely. If
obviously.
it was there today and I could go spend $350, I would much more likely have gone to
Because you
get
get your
it.
payoff
Now,
immediately.
Now, if that was Too Many Bones, and it's like Too Many Bones has this new content, it's $350. It's not going to be here for a year. I'd fucking do it sight unseen because I've played it before. I know I love it. I know I'll back everything by it. Dead Reckoning was a brand new game, but like Jeff said, if it was at the store right now, I might have it. We might own it.
Yeah, I've done a lot more of that where I know that a game online I would get in 2 days is $5 cheaper. But if I'm at my local game store,
Yeah, I could have it
I'll
right now.
spend the $5 extra.
I could have it
I get
today.
it now. I can go home. I can open it. I like that.
Yeah.
But there's also some people like doing the Kickstarter because you pay for it a year ago, and then all of a sudden it shows up and it feels like a free game.
Yay, Christmas time.
Yeah. Oh, this was I passed Jeff paid for this shit. Current
Right.
Jeff just got it for free. How
Yep.
cool is that?
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree with a lot of what Ryan said. Like, I look at components. There's also this joke that we always have of like, I'll buy anything for $20.
Yeah.
Right,
And inflation's
exactly.
gone up,
There's
yeah.
a lot of great games that are absolutely worth $25. Are worth taking the flyer on of like, okay, why not? Why not buy Next Station London for probably $20?
Yeah.
And there's this weird balance that I have too of it is inherent that a lot of us are collectors of games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to pay $120 for a Viticulture game, and I'm not going to play it. I'm not going to play it a lot. Some people do.
Yeah.
They play it all the time. Good for you.
Once
I don't.
a year.
I don't play on Mars a whole bunch of times, but I want that game because of the production quality, because of it. But I might spend $80 on a game that I'll play. For the Trailblazer example, I bet if you bought Trailblazers, you're going to play that 5-1 playing on Mars.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
So you're getting so much more out of this $80 game, but you think about it and go, well, the production quality is not there for the money, but you're going to play it a lot more. So there's a weird balance of me thinking through some of the stuff. Like, I'm going to play this game a lot, but I don't want to spend $80 on it.
Yeah, it's
Right.
this
Like,
weird
why do I
feeling.
feel that way? Where I'm like, I'm going to play this game all the time. Let me
Right.
just fucking buy it.
Because I feel like when you buy stuff, you don't usually factor in that. Usually you factor in what's the quality of this thing I'm buying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you buy like a PlayStation or whatever, you're not necessarily buying it and thinking like, I'm going to play this fucking thing every day. You're like buying it or not spending the money. You're like, okay, this thing is worth a lot. This is a nice machine. You know, maybe that's not a great example, honestly, because you are playing it to buy a lot. But there's things that you buy that you get what you pay for. And so
Yeah.
there's this little thing of like, okay, I'm spending all this money. I'm going to get this really high quality thing. And so when you look at something that is literally just some cards that is reminiscent to this game Bandito that's probably $15, and now they want me to pay $80 for it, it has this feeling, even though it's not true, because what Jeff said is more right about you're going to play it more, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
But you have this feeling of like, there's a grift going on here. I don't think somebody's trying to pull the wool over on me. I'm not a dumb
Yeah.
consumer. I'm not spending $80 on some cards. I'm not doing that. You know, but it's more like, what is it worth to you?
Yeah, but if you can tell yourself, like, I'm going to play this game a lot. Like, this is a game I'm really going to like, so I'll pay $80. But yeah, it's weird. There's this weird feeling that you have. Two other things, mentioning just like unproven designers, unproven publishers are also make me more hesitant.
Yeah.
Ryan will back anything with chip theory on it. It's just going to happen now
Yep.
that he has the floner for Too Many Boners, and it's happening all
many
the time.
floaners.
Yeah.
People do that with Mind Clash, right?
Yeah.
Septima or whatever that new one is, I backed
Yep.
because of the name.
Yeah.
Mind Clash does some cool things with games that I want.
Yeah. The money doesn't
So you
matter
just do it.
as much.
If a lot of people are now backing these Stefan Feld games, these redone. The Queen games are pumping out all these new
Yeah.
Stefan Feld reprints, sort of. What do you value to a reprint? I already have Bruges. Do I need New York or whatever the hell the new print is? Do I need that? But some people do. Some people want it. I also think that as collectors and in this hobby, people love the deal hunt.
Yeah.
People will buy a game that they don't necessarily want because it's on sale.
Because they got a good price.
I got a good price.
They don't
for
take
it.
into account that you're still spending money.
Yeah, you're still, but
you don't really care.
But I got it for $20.
Yeah,
I
it's
got
really
the
50.
deluxe
I got it
edition
for
for
20.
60, and it's usually 110. So that is just, I think, a normal thing that people do outside of the hobby. Also,
Yeah.
you go to Kohl's and you buy a bunch of shit at Kohl's, and they circle that thing. You saved $80.
You feel like a
spent
rock
Like, I
star.
got a deal.
Right, you
Yeah.
get the deal and you want it.
Yeah.
And that
they
I think
know that.
happens in this
Yeah.
hobby too. That deal is huge
100%.
to get people to buy things. And if it's not on sale, people won't buy things. Mm-hmm. That's where I'm at. Let's hear what the
Let's hear
outdoorsmen
what
think.
the other people think.
So I have a lot of different stuff.
Let's hear it. Do you
One
want us
thing,
to comment as you say things?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
So
We're gonna get in
We're
trouble.
allowed to talk.
one thing is, I think you guys do this too. Before you buy a game and decide if it's worth it to spend
We
your
suck
money
it
on,
good.
is you do a lot of research and look at reviews to
course.
see if it's something that you think you'd even enjoy before just like blindly buying something.
Yeah, if I'm on the border, that's what I'll do.
Mm-hmm.
Like Septima for me was an instant back before I even looked at some of the stuff about it.
Right.
But if I'm like what Ryan did with Dead Reckoning,
Right.
I'm on the
You look
border.
into
Let me now
it.
go look into it a little more because it wasn't the instant chip theory back for him.
Right.
It wasn't the instant
Right.
buy because it has Stefan Fell's name on it or it has someone's Uwe Rosenberg's name on it.
Right.
Where you're
Yeah.
just like, I'm buying this.
Right.
Right. John DeClaire is a name.
Yeah.
And I love Custom
And this
Heroes.
is his baby. This is
this is his thing. He does
Yeah.
it well. But yeah, it was more like you said. It was like I don't necessarily have the trust that I'm going to get the return that I'm expecting. Are we going to play it ever?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to play it once, think it's cool, and then be like, God, I spent $350. Now we're going to sell it, and it's like,
Yeah.
why did we just go through that exercise?
Right. Does it come recommended from someone whose opinion you trust
Yes.
or have similar gaming interests as you?
Yeah, like Roll
so
Camera.
that's like
Yes.
a big thing. Yes, exactly.
Seriously, I bought Roll Camera
Yeah.
because Rado was like, "This is the best game of the year," and I was like, "Fuck yeah!"
all
Rado
have-
usually
we all
likes
trust in
similar
people.
games that
Mm-hmm.
I like.
Right. Another big one I heard was how many players does it play? If you're mostly playing with 2 players and it only plays 3+ or doesn't play well with 2 players, is it worth a higher price tag or even worth it at all
Sure.
to spend the money on?
There is an inherent feeling 2-player games should be cheaper. In my head, I think that sometimes.
Yeah,
Because
like 2-player only games.
2-player only
Yeah.
games have less components. There's
Yeah.
less stuff in that box.
Yeah,
Should
for the
I
most
be
part, except
paying
like
a-
Fields of Arl or something.
Yeah, or
but
like Twilight Struggle, right? Or
Right.
something. But yeah.
No, I agree.
Or it's just even the fact like if Ryan and I mostly just play games with each other and sometimes we play with other people, we're probably less likely to play a game that's not that great with 2 players.
I agree with that, but that doesn't necessarily reflect price.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? That's just more like, am I going to buy the game or
yeah,
not?
but if the game's more expensive, you might be like, well, that's a knock against.
yeah, that stuff. You're
buying
right. That
it.
stuff will factor in
Like-
more than it would if the game was like Jeff said, $20 for you'll pay.
Right,
anything.
exactly.
But I think for $20.
Yeah.
And then how often do you think it will get played? So like the times played versus cost calculation, that's what they said. They'll sometimes be like, okay, am I going to play this game like 10 times and
Yeah.
it's $100, it's $10 to play? That seems worth it. Or am I hardly ever going to play it? And like you said, it's $120. I play a Viticulture game like once or twice. That's like, $60 a play.
That is
like,
a smart
that
way to
kinda
do
worth
it. I never look at it in those mathy
Yeah.
terms.
But people
it's
do that a
funny.
lot.
People
It
do it a
is a
lot,
smart
and
way.
it's
Yeah.
very smart. I don't do that because I'm stupid. I guess the way I look at it more is like, am I going to regret this? Not necessarily like, am I going to play it enough to make that cost worth it? Because I spend money, and I don't. A lot of time, it's like Jeff said, when you spend money on a Kickstarter game, and then that's past Ryan spent that money. That money is considered to be gone.
That idiot
I don't
spent it. I didn't do
factor
it.
that money that I spent in 2 years later and be like, well, I played it 8 times. I spent $100. I haven't got my money's worth yet. I don't ever do that. It's always a feeling of like, okay, I'm going to spend $120 on Lisboa. Am I going to be okay doing that and feel good about owning that? Mm-hmm. And I do right now. But I don't look at it like, well, I've only played it once in the last 2 years, so I spent $120. I have to get rid of it now.
It's
That
not a
doesn't
bad way to
factor
think about it
into-
because if I did,
it's a smart way.
There's a lot of
to look
games I
at it.
shouldn't have in my collection if I was thinking.
Yeah,
that way.
agreed. It's a smart way to look at it. I'm all based on feeling.
Yeah, that's kind of what I said. I was like, I feel like you two kind of go more on like feeling and emotion, and then
I do for
other
sure.
people go more on like practicality
Yeah.
and like just like budgeting and money.
Yeah, that brings in the whole thing of like these exit games, right? That are $20, where some people don't want to spend $20 on a game that you can only play once, but you know, you go to the movies and it's $20. I always think of
Yeah,
that
you go
as
to
like a date
escape
night. Like
room
this is our one-time $20 experience. So if I'm having this, like technically one play of that game is worth $20.
Yeah, but also if you're
I've
playing
played
that
On Mars
game with 5
once.
people,
Right now, the one play of On Mars is worth $150. Right now, I'm not technically getting my money out of that. I need to play that 5 more times to even get it down to.
But do you think about it that way?
No, but
Yeah,
people
neither do
do,
I.
and I
People do.
respect them for it because they probably have more money than I do.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I mean. They're smarter, but
Yeah.
I
And
don't
a
look at it
collection
that
that
way.
they've- yeah.
And I'm happy that I don't look at it that way
Yeah.
because I would drive
Yeah.
myself crazy
Right.
just being like, "Oh, this wasted money over here." You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't do that.
another big thing is like how long is the game? It's also something
Yes,
you consider.
good call.
Because like if it's a shorter game, you might bring that to the table more often.
This is
because
a
it
Foundations
gets-
of Rome conversation.
Yeah.
Foundations of Rome, $250 for a game that takes 20 minutes to play. You know, that's a thing I think about a lot when I'm factoring in how much to pay
Yeah.
for a game. Like, okay, this game is $90.
Right.
What does this game take 5-10 minutes? Like, what? Why am I paying this much money?
Yeah.
That for some reason triggers me more than how many times do I play it.
Okay.
It's more like, okay, On Mars, $150. Jeff's played it one time. But when you played On Mars, it was this big epic experience,
Right.
and you're like, man, that was great. Well, I just
Yeah.
got this meal, this huge meal that, I only ate once, right? You go to Morimoto's in Philadelphia and you pay $150 for that fucking meal that you only have one time. You're not going back there again. You paid for that
But it's
meal.
an experience that you don't forget,
It
and-
was worth it.
yeah.
On Mars, to me, I play On Mars once. I'm like, this is worth that big price tag.
Yeah.
If I pay $250 and I pay Foundations of Rome and it's 20 minutes long, and I'm like, okay, I better play this 50 more
Yeah.
times
Yeah.
to make
Well,
it worth it.
I also see it from a different perspective. Like, you know, you're looking at this game and it's kind of more expensive, but let's say it takes 45 minutes. And I'm like, okay, that's going to if that ends up being a game we like, we're going to play that a bunch. But if there's a game that's 3 hours long, even though we like it, that's hardly ever going to get played, you know, based on the time
Yeah.
it takes.
Yeah.
Another factor is, will your gaming group or spouse like this game?
That's a good point. Again, I feel like that's just a buy it or not. That's not necessarily a price
Yeah,
tag thing.
that's
I'm not going to
true.
buy a game at all if I don't feel
No,
like you're going
but
to like it.
but
But I
sometimes
have.
you do. Yeah, sometimes you
Not going
do.
to,
There's
but
a
I
lot
have.
of times where you're like, I bought this game. It's not really your kind of game, but I'm hoping maybe you'll like it. And then
Wonderland's War is like that, and I spent a shit ton on that. I'm
But
just
luckily
dumb,
that one
that's
worked
all.
out.
I'm just stupid.
I'm just dumb.
I'm just a
that's a good one.
stupid
If
man.
Devin has like any interest in a game, I would usually buy it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, look at this! Oh, I already bought it. Yeah, this looks.
It'll be here,
yep,
it'll be
yeah,
here
it does.
tomorrow.
I got it.
It'll be here tomorrow.
Yeah. There's also like the factor of, does it have like a normal version versus a deluxe version? Maybe somebody would pay a lower price tag for the regular version to see if they even like the game, and then a lot of times
That's another
if
thing
there's an
smart people do.
option for you to like buy the upgraded components after you know you already like it.
See, that's
you know,
another
then-
fucking thing smart people do that I don't do that. To me, if there's a
You're just,
deluxe
like, all
version,
in
well, if there's a deluxe version of a
without
game. If I
knowing
want a
anything.
game and there's a deluxe version and I don't get it, I'm just like tweaking. Like, why didn't I just should have just got why didn't I just get the deluxe version?
Yeah.
I have to get the deluxe version.
Yeah.
Again, I'm stupid, but that's a smart people thing. That's a smart people answer for a stupid person. Because you're right. That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Like Trailblazers, again, we're going to go back to Trailblazers. There's 3 different versions of that. You don't have to get the deluxe version for $80. You can get the travel size version, which gives you the game in a travel bag, which got a cool little carabiner.
Yeah, it's cute.
And it's got this little like cool shape to it. And it's only like $30. But if it was me, if I'm back in that game, I'm getting the deluxe version. I just am. And so I will stay away from it likely because it's too much for me.
More recently,
Based on
I've
the
tried
time.
to talk myself into not doing some of the upgrades
Yeah.
because I think about it.
Until
is,
you
is
know
is
you
the
like
upgrades
it.
going to change my experience of the game? Like with Carnegie, I didn't get the cubes, the golden cubes. That did not.
Those are the least.
I didn't
important
play that game
upgrade.
and go, I need those.
No.
That would have enhanced my experience of the game. But a lot of times, like metal coins, I'm like, yeah, I like my finger pads like that.
Fuck yeah, they do.
So I'm starting to try to be a little more picky with some of the Kickstarter upgrades,
Yeah.
especially because prices
You're
of things
growing.
have gone up
Well, I haven't.
Yeah.
substantially.
For
They have,
sure.
true. You're a stronger man than I.
Another thing to
just
think
happening.
about
Just think
is
about it.
what is the resale value? If it's like a hot game and you end up not liking it, then at least you can get the most.
Yeah, that's a good
Get
point.
most of your
never
money
think about
back
that.
by selling it to
Oh, I
someone
totally
you know
do.
or online. But like, if it's like an older game and then you like spend a bunch of money on it and then like no one really wants
Great.
it, like
That's a great point for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Like-
for you.
'Cause
That's
I
for
move
you
stuff
more
all
than
the
me. I never,
time.
Yeah.
I never think about
There's
that.
a lot
so
of
you
like.
just weigh that risk.
Well, so it's more worth it to me to spend money on a hot game, for sure. That if I don't like it, I can turn around and get most of my money back on it because the secondary
Right.
market for board games is really good. People will spend even now in this economy. People will spend more in the secondary market that they're not going to spend necessarily the brand new. But I've sold a lot of games, for at or near MSRP.
yeah.
You know what I mean? In the secondary market, just because if it's hot and you can't really get it right now, even if it's like coming out in a month or two, people will still pay to have it now.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
It also depends on, this is a big one. It also depends on how much disposable income you have to spend on games and how much you're into this hobby. Like if games is your number one hobby, you'll likely prioritize spending money on games over like other non-essential things. But if you don't have the means to buy new games all the time, then you're more likely going to be like researching more before buying or trying to find sales or previously owned copies at lower prices. So like, this is a pretty important hobby for you guys. Like we have a podcast, we do a lot.
You're fucking
And there's a lot
losers.
riding
Yeah.
on like us playing
Fucking
games. And we happen to have enough money to be able to buy new games all the time. But that's not the case for everybody, And so that could be a huge factor.
Yeah, I'm fortunate enough to have the ability to take my extra money and buy pieces of cardboard, right? And that's, I'm thankful for that. But
Yeah.
that is my main hobby. I don't do, maybe Ryan buys a kite or an underwater scooter or something. that,
Or a grill.
Almost. God, it was
or
close.
grill. Like there's that kind of stuff where
Almost had the scooter.
I buy other things in my
Yeah.
life, but I can say, all right, I want to spend. I never go to the store and a lot of times regret that I bought a game.
Right.
Like that doesn't happen because I have in my head, hey, I can spend this money. I've done my work. This is my hobby. This is what I want. and
For
I do
sure.
that,
Yeah, it's like the one thing.
Yeah.
That and heroin.
Sometimes if a friend owns a game and then someone might pass on buying it thinking they don't have to spend the money and they can borrow it from their friend if they want to play it
Yeah,
or
so
try
that's
it
a
out
good one.
before they buy it.
Depending on the
kinda
group
thing.
that you're in, like a game group, like
Yeah.
like when I was part of the Monday game group with Jeff and Bill and all them, and I think you guys still do this to some degree now, unless
Yeah.
you're Joe who buys everything, but you try to not buy the same games,
Yeah.
right? And that's a very good way to deal with price values of some of these things. If there's a game you're interested in and someone else is also really interested in it, maybe let them buy it, and then you can get a chance to play it when it's their night to pick games.
Right.
Yeah, and it becomes you can have twice the amount of games. If I don't buy the same games, I now have $50 to buy something else that we
Right.
don't
That
have.
you don't have, and now
Yeah,
I
so
can-
there's a lot of games like smaller games that I'll just buy again. I'll buy anything for $20.
Right, cool.
And-
Plus, if you're going to play with other people,
Right.
you don't want to not have it.
But I don't need like Istanbul is a wonderful game that I love that I don't own, and I don't need to own it because I'm going to play it with Bill and that game group, and I'm not going to play it necessarily with Devin, and I don't need to own that game.
Right.
But yeah, there are games that I just will pass on, or me and my two brothers who have a good collection between the three of us we'll go to Gen Con, and I don't need to buy some of the games that they already are going to buy.
Yeah.
Right.
So like I wanted Acropolis,
Because they're who
they
you're
already
going
have
to play
it.
the
I
game
don't need
with
it.
anyway.
All good.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm going to play it at some point.
Exactly. And then the last one I have is another factor could be uniqueness of the game. Is this similar to a game you already have and love? If so, it might not hold up to the original or it might not get played as much. But if it creates more variety in your like collection and it's different than other like go-to games, then maybe it's worth the cost and the space that it takes
That's another
up.
good one.
Yeah.
That's another good one.
I like that.
Yeah, the Jones theory, basically, which says, you only need one of a certain type of mechanic. I mean, I don't ascribe to the Jones theory necessarily, but can you imagine just having one worker placement game?
Yeah, but again, these people are people who play the same
Well, some
game
people
over
do
and over
that.
again. They do it, and it's cool.
Some
Good
people
for them.
do that.
I-
Yeah,
Right.
so that's a reason why you would or would not spend money.
So
Yeah,
it's just
I think
interesting
this is
to
a
think
great
about
topic.
that there's like so many different factors. There's so many different situations that people may be in that go into like the decision making when they buy the game. And
Did we
cost of the
miss
game.
anything about
Did we?
cost of games? If we did, we would love to hear about it in the Discord. If you would just tell us your reasons for why you spend money on a game. If you're Chris Prime, you just have all the money and spend all the money every day.
You have all the shelves.
Yeah.
And, the
And
money
so
and the
we're not
things.
necessarily. Yeah,
You just
so
show up to his door every day with.
I would
new
like to
games.
hear, from someone like Chris and maybe someone from the other end of the spectrum who only gets to buy a few games a year or something like that. What goes into
Like, what makes the cut?
Yeah, what makes the
for
cut?
you?
Right. Yeah, that'd be something really interesting to hear about. So that'd be great
Good
to
stuff.
go into the Gamecasters Discord.
This is again why
and talk about that.
Natalie's a favorite.
Natalie.
She's the funny one. She's got a warm Nook. There's pubic
Oh
area.
my
We get
God.
it.
There is all over the place. Natalie, can you hand that pile to Jeff there?
great.
So we're gonna play a new game
A
this
nude
episode.
game.
A nude
Yay.
one. You have to
Oh,
be
boy.
naked. Have you guys ever played the game Mad Gab?
Yeah.
Mad Gab.
That's the game
so.
where
You
you
say
really
weird
have to pay
shit, but you're
attention
actually
to
saying
what
something
you
else.
Okay,
hear,
yeah.
not what you see. An example is like mar, thus, do, hurt. And so that is Martha Stewart,
So fucking bad
right?
at this
But the
game.
words
I
are
played this
mar,
game when I was a
thus,
child,
do,
and I was
hurt.
like, I don't ever want to play this again.
Oh,
Oh, snap.
what a great thing to
Let's play
say
board
before
game
this
or
exciting
bullshit.
game that
No,
I'm
I just
excited
feel-
to play.
I
Yeah.
feel so dumb over and over
it
again
can
during
make you
this
feel
game.
dumb. I'm
All right,
hoping
I'm
that
ready.
because these are all board games that you
Okay.
all know and love. Well, yeah, you should all know and love these.
Or at least know.
You're going to try and get each other to guess based on these 20, so each have 10. So we're not going to even do, like, no one's going to win, no one's going to lose.
Score.
You're just going to try. It's
No,
kind of like when we
for
did
fun.
Speak Out. When we did Speak Out,
Yeah.
so, like,
Cracker.
you're going to try to
There's
get
one left.
Jeff to guess
Ryan, do you have any?
these games. It's funny because
Okay.
as you were saying, like, the place where I was eating the last piece
Yeah,
of
I know. That's what made me go. Well, I'm saying it now. It's happening.
I even brought the plate over and I ate both pieces
Yeah.
anyway.
There was 2 pieces left. There's one cracker that Natalie and I have been staring at for hours, and 2 pieces of cheese. And Ryan goes, "I'm gonna eat these cheese." Ba, ba, da, ba, boop,
But
ba,
I was
boop.
like talking about like, here you go, here's some cheese, man.
Yeah.
I just fucking ate them
Yeah.
both. Okay, so we're gonna go back and forth and see if we can guess all these games. We're gonna have. I was gonna put us on a time limit to do it, but I think it'll just be more fun to just try
Okay.
to figure it out.
Try to Mad Gab it up.
Yeah, just try to Mad Gab it up.
Blab
So
it up.
Jeff, start and pick up your first card and then read it the way
Do
it
you know
is.
the answer?
I have all the answers.
Okay, well this first word can be said 2 ways:
Yes.
paper or eyeball.
Paper.
Terricotomy. Terricotomy.
Terracotta Army.
All right.
Terracotta Army. Very good. Very good. Very good. All right, Natalie, go ahead.
I'm gonna close my eyes.
Yeah, close your
Okay.
eyes.
I'm closing my eyes.
Arc Idea Coup West. Arc Idea Coup West.
Architects.
Read fast now.
Arc Idea Coup West.
What's the architects game called?
Arc Idea Quest.
Arcadia Quest.
Yes.
Okay.
Arcadia Quest. Very good. There you go.
Did you know it as you're saying it? All right.
No, she's like, what the fuck? Okay.
What?
Let me see. Let me see.
No. Okay.
Okay.
That a fern sofa teeth intall. That a fern's sofa teeth intall. That a fern sofa teeth intall. That a fern sofa teeth intall.
I got nothing.
I try to say it as fast as I can. That a fern sofa teeth intall. That a fern sofa teeth intall. I have no fucking idea what I'm saying. That a fern sofa teeth intall. Oh, I think I might have got it.
Tiefenthal. Tiefenthal.
Yeah.
What is that?
Say it again, Jeff.
That a fern sofa teeth intall. Well, it's hard for me not to say the name of the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
That a fern sofa teeth intall.
Oh, I feel like I know
Sofa
this.
You
teeth
should. You just said
intall.
it basically.
Tiefenthal.
Yeah.
What am I saying?
Doy dot to desk.
Oh,
Yes, is what
Taverns
I'm
of
saying.
Tiefenthal.
Yeah.
Okay, I just couldn't think of it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Very good. Very good.
Planet Unknown. It's okay.
Sulkin them I Inca Lindar. These aren't even words.
Yeah, exactly.
Sulk in them I Inca Lindar.
Sulk in the eye in the Ligar.
Say it fast.
Sulk in them I Inca Lindar. Sulk in them I and link. How do you say it fast? These aren't like things that make sense. Sulk in them I
Sulk in
Inca
them I.
Lindar.
Sulk in the eye.
I wonder if people at home are like, it's this. I hope.
Oh, I think I know it.
Okay,
Great.
do it again.
Sulk in the eye. What?
Yeah.
I'm,
You're
well,
saying
again,
it.
I'm saying these things. I don't know what that is.
Sulkin the my Inkalindar. Sulkin the my
Sulk in the
Inkalindar.
Mayan canon.
Yeah,
He's like-
you're getting there eventually. This is great. Okay, all right, next.
Again, shown Uncle Lever.
Ganchon Clever.
Yes. Boom. Did you know it,
I'm
Jeff?
say no. I don't know who Uncle Lever is. Who's Uncle Lever?
Okay.
Is it Lever or Lever?
Bat Else Targle Tactica.
Oh, Battlestar Galactica.
Boom. Did you know that, Natalie?
Tai Oat T Whack-On.
Teotihuacan.
Yes.
You get the whack on yourself.
Yeah.
Cartographers.
Cartographers.
It's like car, toga, furs. Yeah.
Chasm. What rhymes with chasm? Chasm, I can cow. Again, what's that one? Tear or tear?
Read the first way.
I don't remember what I said first. Chasm, I can cow tear. Chasm.
Cosmic Encounter?
Yes.
All right, good.
Yes, yes,
The Manhattan Per Rogerect.
Yeah, that's the Manhattan Project.
yes. You said it
Okay.
exactly right. Yep, yep.
Dad off wind tear. Why do I have all the tear tear?
Dead of Winter.
Every one of these is
I know,
tear
it's
and tear.
Dead of Winter.
All right,
Nice, nice.
Dunimpi Rium.
Do Nimpy. Dune Imperium.
Nice.
Oh.
Yes, you're
I did not
getting
know
these.
that.
What was that first thing you said? Do Nimpy?
Do Nimpy.
Listen here, Nimpy. And Roy Denet
Yep.
Ron R. And Roy Denet Ron R.
Yep. This is good.
Android Netrunner.
Yeah,
Oh,
very
all right,
good.
good.
Nice.
Hand Sun Toot Onicker. Hand Sun Toot Onicker.
Hand son.
Oh, I get it. I know.
You?
What?
Hand Sun Toot Onicker. Hand Sun Tunicker.
Hansa Teutonica.
Yeah, very
Okay.
good, very good. You guys are doing really well. You
Mike
got every single
Rome.
one.
Acro. Mike Rome Acro.
Micro Macro. You like said it exactly. Casin Thol Whirl.
Case in the whirl.
Casin Thol Whirl.
Tho. Th.
Thol.
Case in the whirl.
Casin Thol Whirl.
Do you know what it is?
No.
Casein.
I think only Jeff would know this one. I mean,
He's in the world.
I don't think you would know
Casin
it.
Thol Whirl.
Whirl, as in like whoopity doo, like
Yeah.
whirlpool. Casein the whirl. Casein the whirl.
How about Casin Tholworld?
Casein
Casin Thol Whirl.
the whirl. First math.
Then
Bobbity boobity bibbity bobbity bibbity.
Casin
Bill wins
Tholworld.
most of the time. Then
Casein. Casey Kasem.
Casin Thol.
Casey Kasem.
Casin Thol Whirl.
Kasem, Casey in the Thor world.
That's it. You got it,
Casey-
right? That was it. Casey Kasem in the Thor.
Do you know what it is?
I don't think she would know this one.
Oh
Okay,
my gosh,
let's move.
right.
Let's move on.
Leave that one somewhere else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pools are 2 went teat 14
Excuse me.
You heard me. Pools are 2 went teat 14 ween. Pools are 2 went teat 14
Oh, that last word is ein, like German.
Oh, ein.
Yeah.
Oh, say
So
it again.
now you'll get it.
Pools are 2 went fort. Well, I gotta go back. Too many fucking words. in this. Pools are 2 went teat 14 ein.
Yep, that's it. Perfect. That's perfect.
What?
Pools are 2 went teat 14 ein.
That's totally it. You're saying it exactly.
Pools
right.
are 2 went teat 14 ein.
He's saying,
14 eyes?
he's saying it exactly right. It's so
14
funny.
Yeah, yeah,
14.
Do you know it, Jeff?
No. I'm just trying to read the words on the
Sorry,
thing.
2849?
Yes.
Yeah.
Pulsar 2849. Very good.
I knew there was some numbers in there.
Undraw Tersites.
Underwater cities.
Boom.
Okay. 2. A light Sinscription.
Twilight Inscription.
Nice. Yes. Very good. That's
one.
Jeff's last one. All right.
Yeah.
Last one, Natalie.
Rick Guybout.
Maracaibo.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So you
said it wrong.
So you have one left.
Casein.
Casin Thol Whirl.
I do think this is probably the most challenging one because Natalie doesn't know it.
Thor.
It was
Casein
lucky
Thor
that
world.
it was lucky that you
Oh.
got it to give to Jeff because I just randomized them.
Casein Thor.
Yep, you're saying it.
Casein Thor. I got it.
Casein
Casein
Thor.
Thor. I don't know what I'm actually saying, but I
Instead
said
of
it.
saying Thul, what if I say case in the whole world?
The whole world. Got the whole...
Case in the whole world.
They saying it. I just don't know it.
No, it's tough. Well, do you want me to give it to you, or should we
No,
wait?
let's just give it to us. What do you think?
Chaos in the old world.
Oh, shit. I know that's a game.
Case in the old world.
All right, yeah, I don't know if I would have got there. But I was saying
It's
it,
a tough
apparently.
one. Yeah, I know. That was a tough one. You guys did great on those.
Good job, Nangi.
Good job.
So I was,
Was that, like, hard to make?
yes.
What did you put this
Yeah.
on? What did you write this on?
Extremely. So there was this, like...
In order to make this game, you need a laminator, thick paper, scissors.
Sharpie.
Yeah, but what about...
Cut
What about you didn't say scissors and
You
a
didn't say
laminator.
scissors.
Yeah, there was, like, this square paper that came with a game. It was just, like, it was in...
Oh, yeah, look, it feels like a
Terracotta
box
Army.
insert.
Yeah, it was in Terracotta Army.
Oh.
So, for this episode's top 5, we're going to do our top 5 games that play great at like a restaurant or outside or in some other non-conventional gaming space. Basically, 5 games that you're not going to play at a conventional gaming table. You don't need to, I should say. Okay?
Got it.
All right, sound good to you?
Yes, it does.
All right, we're going to go me, Jeff, Natalie. Are you guys
Yes,
ready for
Natalie.
this?
Yep.
Number 5 for me is a game called Hive.
Yes.
Hive
That's cool.
is my number 5. It's got Bakelite tiles. You can play this sucker anywhere.
Comes in a bag.
Comes in a little bag. Yeah, it's perfect to travel around with. And there's no board. You make the tiles are the board, and it's fun. It's best outside out of all these scenarios. At a restaurant, which is good at a restaurant too. At a restaurant, and the airport, whatever. Outside is the best place to play this one because it's just gonna hold up really well. Something like wind. There's no cards and stuff. So that's my number 5. Hive. Jeff, what about you? What's
My number 5 is Regicide.
Ooh, baby.
good one.
Good
Fits
one.
in your pocket.
Sure does.
Can go places.
Everywhere.
Easy. You don't have to have anything to really play it on. Like,
hard.
you can fold down the little airport
Yeah, the
tray,
tray
table,
table
and
thing.
you just play right on there.
Yeah.
Simple.
And doesn't take up a ton of space either.
Doesn't take up a ton of space. There's nothing that, like, consistently has to stay somewhere or be moved around a lot. Regicide,
Yeah.
my number 5.
That's a good one. Natalie, what about you?
My number 5, you don't even need anything except your cell phone, which you already have because you bring it everywhere. And it's called Space Team.
Oh,
Space
good
Team.
one.
I thought Natalie's number 5 was going to be like Twister
Yeah.
because it's on the floor
Yeah.
and not the table.
Yeah.
Got you.
When you said number 5 is on a phone, I'm like, oh, this isn't a board game, is it? What is this? Number 5.
It's an app.
Good one.
Yeah.
No, that's-
Solitaire.
It also is a
Space
board game.
Team is great. I love spacing. Good one. Number 4 for me is a game that is best suited for something like the car or in between a game, and that is Dark Stories. We've talked about this one a lot. It's just perfect for traveling. Again, it's not much bigger than a small box card size, and it's perfect for something like the car. You're not going to just like sit this game out at the game table. This is one that you're only ever going to play away from the game table. So that's my number 4. Dark Stories. If you haven't heard of that one, look into that one. Sometimes called Black
It's a good
Stories.
one.
Jeff,
Yeah.
what is your number 4?
My number 4 is probably on your list, so just may as well cross off now. Insider.
We'll do.
Insider doesn't have to have really anything because it's a lot of it's played verbally. You're just talking and asking questions and asking if it's from Home Depot and how big it is. Right?
Bigger
So,
than a lawnmower.
Insider is great. A lot of other Oink games could probably fall into that. I think you could probably play Blood Pressure Cafe.
Yeah, totally.
Pretty simply. You don't need to have necessarily like those cards laid out in a certain way. So, small boxes.
That's good.
Yeah.
Insider specifically, I think, is also good. Natalie, what is your number 4?
My number 4 is Monstrosity.
Oh, all right.
Because, I mean,
one.
you have the little boards,
You do.
and you're kind of just holding it. You don't need a table necessarily
True.
to play it, and the other person is just basically memorizing a card. So, like, a table isn't necessary. You can kind of play it wherever.
True. That's very good. Okay. Number 2 for me. Number 3 for me.
three.
We're at number 3. Number 3 for me are the puzzle books. Like your Journal 29s,
ones.
your Codex Mysteriums. What's the new one that me
It's
and
like
Dave and
something
Joe
of
just
rituals.
got? The Book of Rituals.
The Book of Rituals.
Maybe is
I
that what
don't
it's
know.
called?
Something rituals.
Yeah.
These are puzzles that are in a book, and every puzzle that you solve,
a
you can like
look
either look up the
in
answer
a
online or the answers in the back of the book. And so you don't need anything at all except the book. And so it's perfect to play.
We've
on an
actually played it on a
airplane or
train.
yeah, we played it on a train. Exactly. We sure did on our way to Chicago. And these kinds of games are perfect situations that are, in the board game realm, but you don't have to play it at a game table. So these are puzzle books. Search up Journal 29, Codex Mysterium, Whatever the other one we just said was.
Ritual something.
Book of
Book of
Rituals?
Rituals.
Yeah, it's a board and dice thing, so look it up.
Yeah,
through
very
Board and
cool.
Dice.
Jeff, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Wavelength. It can all be played right in the box.
You can, yeah, that's great. You can also play
Dave
it online.
length, wavelength, Dave length. You take the box off, the little slider cool thing of twisting, all is in the box. So you could essentially take the box, if you had nothing to put it on, you could just pass the box. And that is my number 3.
Love it. Natalie, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is The Mind. You don't need a lot of space to play that one.
True.
You just need a place to put one little pile of cards.
True.
And yeah. That's
a
the
good one.
whole
I like it.
that fits into the category.
Number 2 for me is a game that was on Kickstarter a number of years ago. It was during this like spate of time where micro games were a thing, which was like, one couple cards that were in these games. And this one's called Coin Age, and it's basically just like a credit card. And it's got these little like area majority kind of spots on it, and you play it with coins.
Yeah, it was kind of a cool
It is like
idea.
the perfect restaurant game. You can just because you have it in your wallet theoretically, and a lot of people carry change, maybe not in this day and age, but you can still carry a little bit of change around, and then you put it on the table, and then you're placing quarters, nickels, dimes, and pennies, and they go on top of each other, right? So quarters are worth the most, but they're the easiest to cover up, and so it just creates a really cool and fun experience, and it's just very, very tiny. It's called Coin Age. Jeff, what's your number 2?
My number 2, I've played none of these games, but I'm going to say them.
All right.
These button shy games that fit in your back
Button Shy.
pocket.
I was thinking of those too. It looks like a stick of gum.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say the button shies are a lot of sometimes they're just like cards. They look like a foldable wallet sometimes too.
Yeah.
Maybe
That's what I'm. What's the?
Yeah, there is like
what's
the stick of gum ones that
Yeah.
the button shies are like almost like
You're
a flat
right.
wallet.
You're right. The wallet, like Tussie Mussy or something.
That one you still like. Again, conventional table you don't need. A restaurant table you can easily play this.
Yeah.
Because the cards kind of make up sort of the board as you're playing these games. So that's my number 2 is button shy games.
Awesome. I think Pack of Games is what the Pack of Gum
Games.
ones
Yeah.
are. Yeah,
Like a
yeah.
Pack of
So
Gum.
those are good. All right, Natalie, what's your number 2?
And number 2 is a game that we are recently obsessed with, maybe not Jeff, called Order Overload Cafe.
Yes, another Oink
Barter,
game.
barter,
It's a bunch of
Cafe.
cards.
Veni, vidi,
I mean,
vici.
you do have a little thing in the middle, but that's like
That doesn't
barely
boys have a little thing in the
necessary.
middle.
The
Yeah.
round counter, but that takes up no space and is like hardly even necessary.
Right, just a deck
You're
of
just
cards.
holding
Did
cards.
you hear Ryan talk
Yep.
about penis a second ago?
I
It's
did my
penis?
penis joke.
No,
You
just-
said there's a little
no,
thing in
just-
the middle. I
just-
said all boys have a little thing in the middle.
Yeah,
Oh my
it's
god!
our penis.
Number 1 for me is a game that Natalie and I have played so many freaking
We
times.
probably have the same
and
one.
not at the game table.
Oh my
We have
god,
the
here we
same
go.
one.
It is called Love
Letter.
Yes,
Oh my
Love
god, it's
Letter.
my number 1 too. Oh my god, can you
Is it
spare
really?
me a second?
Is it really your number 1?
No, it's not my number 1.
Let me
you
tell
fuckers
you.
were gonna say it, so I didn't do it.
We
And I knew it was
played
gonna be
it.
both
We are
number
fuckers.
1s
Two
We're
odd
totally
places we
fuckers.
played it are the library
and the foot
the
of the
ferry.
bed.
and the boat.
Yeah, the boat,
And a
the ferry,
boat.
the boat.
Yeah.
Yep, on
Yep.
the fucking ferry. Exactly. Jeff, what's your number 1, man?
It's cute.
Yep.
Oh,
High five.
They're high-fiving.
God, we're so adorable.
This is just adorable.
Right. We'll be right back.
It was on my list. I just didn't do it. Yeah, we came back. They had sex. Now, it was on my list. I knew I was going to say it because I knew the two of you were going to say it at the exact same time. Like, oh my god, that was on my list.
so damn
I
adorable.
just wrote down interesting and unique too.
So cute. She was angry about that. She was fucking mad at me.
Yeah, but then
wasn't
she moved
mad.
quickly from anger to
You
were just
son of a
adorable.
bitch.
I have this game that could fall into a bunch of different categories called Unsolved Case Files, which is a like manila envelope of paperwork where you're solving this mystery.
Yeah.
It
That's
doesn't
right.
need like it's cool to just be able to lay out, and you could lay it out on the floor. Like Devin and I played it in a hotel room where all of the shit was just like laying on the other queen bed that we weren't
Yeah.
sleeping on, right? And we just like laid everything out.
Is this the one we
So
played in Gen Con last year?
that is Hunt a Killer or something.
Oh,
So it's in the
okay.
same type of thing. That one has a little more like stuff. There's like locks or
Okay.
like this is all paperwork. So you could sit on a train
Paperwork.
and just like look through this case file. So I think that's kind of a cool thing. Again, it fits in a backpack or it's nothing. It's like it's 20 pieces of paper.
Yeah.
But it's got a cool a fun journey to go through in that. So unsolved case files or something equivalent to that. The Hunt a Killer could be another
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, very cool. Awesome. So that is our top 5. Do you guys have any honorable mentions that you wanted to talk about? I just made 5.
Yeah, I have like Strike, because that's again you just
Yeah,
kind of
good one.
could hold the box. This Crime Zoom, some of these
Oh,
smaller
yeah, those are
box
cool. I kinda wanted to
type
play
things
that
are cool.
Crime Zoom.
You could just whip micro macro out and just unfold that big thing somewhere.
True. Probably not outside, but
Probably
yes.
not the best. Skull King Scout, any type of card game, Red 7. Those are cool. And then a couple roll and writes you could probably like get away with.
Totally.
Yeah.
Pretty easy. And then love letter. What do you got?
I had like monikers, 20 questions.
Here we
I
go.
Spy. The license plate. The padiddle where you
A
hit the
to
ceiling
Z.
and there's one light out.
You say a
Slug bug.
animal that starts with A. I say one that starts with B.
The alphabet game,
Slug,
Happy
rainbow
Salmon,
car.
just one.
Happy Salmon's a good one.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, just one.
And so on in that yeah,
and so
the
on
car,
that.
the license plate game, Happy Salmon, and so on in that fashion.
Keep going that way.
There's a Futurama joke where these aliens come to Earth, and they're gonna kill everybody. They're
Yeah.
like, if you don't do this, we're gonna kill everybody. Starting with the lawyers, and then the math teachers, and so on in that fashion. Like, what the fuck?
Like what fashion?
Yeah, what fashion
Exactly.
is that? So hopefully you found a new game or two that you might enjoy looking up and playing if you're in a situation where you're not at a game table, but you still really want to play a game. And if not, I don't know, fuck you. So that's going to do it for us tonight, everybody. If you'd like to get a hold of us, you can find us on Instagram at Gamecasters or at Mad Board Gamer. Both of those accounts service the podcast. We also have a Facebook group. Just search Gamecasters and you'll find us there. You can also email us at thegamecasterspodcast@gmail.com. If you like the show, we'd love it if you consider giving us a rating on Apple Podcasts or anywhere else you listen that allows you to rate us. We've also got a Patreon. If you want to support the show, feel free to head on over to patreon.com/thegamecasters. There's also a merch store where you can find all sorts of different Gamecasters, Mad Board Gamer, Gateway gear. So head on over to thegatewaynetwork.com/store. Please follow me and consider subscribing on Twitch at twitch.tv/Gamecasters. So for Natalie and Jeff the Mad Board Gamer, I'm Ryan, and you have been listening to The Gamecasters. Good night, everybody. Hello.
You're supposed to say hello. Like you were gonna go hello, and then I was gonna be.
I thought you wanted me to like harmonize, and I was like, I don't
did.
know
Yeah, you
what
did,
to
but then
do.
you just stopped.
I panicked.
always.
Okay, start over.
No,
No.
it's the magic
No.
is past.
All right.
Now we're just giving
Now,
levels.
okay.
Just give me some levels.
Oh, we're still okay.
You haven't said anything yet.
Yeah, I'm talking right now. Isn't this your levels?
What are you doing on your
Yes,
phone?
this is.
What is so important?
Nothing.
Get it out of here.
You get it out.
You're just like, what are you talking about? Levels. Boop, bop, boop, 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 boop. I'm talking. What are you talking about?
Levels
Bop, bop,
1,
bop,
2,
bop, bop.
check
You asked
3,
to say
4.
something.